Chapter 901. After saying this, that elder withdrew his hand, no longer intercepting him. Below, the young man smiled cruelly. "Brat, I'll let you know how powerful I am. Remember, my name is Yen Song." The young man sneered and dashed forward. The long sword in his hand pierced toward Lin Xian like a venomous snake. This sword was extremely sharp, and the angle of the attack was very tricky. Very few people at the second level of the Venerable Realm would be able to block it, let alone the extremely weak Lin Xian. He was afraid that this sword strike would take his opponent's life. Dongfang Fenghuang shouted and wanted to intervene. However, a terrifying force shrouded her and restrained her. Not only her, but Bing Ling and the others were also shrouded by a terrifying force. It was obvious that the elder from the Yen family had intervened and restrained them. "Just watch. I don't need you to do anything to deal with a piece of trash." Lin Xian smirked and a cold look appeared in his eyes. Looking at the strange and tricky sword technique, he grasped the Lone Star sword and stabbed out. Poof! Blood spurted out and a figure fell to the ground. It was the arrogant young man from the Yen family. His sword was still 3 feet away from Lin Xian and it did not even touch his clothes. Is this the demeanor of a Yen family disciple? How unsightly. Lin Xian put away his long sword and sneered. What? In the sky, the few elders from the Yen family were stunned and they were shocked. Their opponent was obviously very weak. How could he display such a powerful sword technique? He killed their disciple in one stroke. It was too ironic. It was a slap to their faces. Previously, they were arrogant and said that the Yen family disciple was peerless. However, he was killed by a weak second-level honorable in one stroke. This huge contrast was simply too ironic. Around them, countless martial artists from the Yen family were shocked and could not believe it. Dongfang Fenghuang and the others sneered. Even Yang Lin and Yi Yen looked at them with disdain. Your Yen family is so pitiful. You're such a big family but you don't even have a genius in the younger generation. How are you going to support yourself in the future? I advise you not to fight over the Lone Star Sword. You should focus on nurturing the Yen clan's disciples. Otherwise, your Yen clan's disciples would be the laughingstock of others. Lin Xian shook his head and sighed, his face full of regret. Mockery, this was blatant mockery. The elders of the Yen clan were so angry that their bodies were trembling. They wanted nothing more than to slap the other party to death. The young disciples of the Yen clan were even more furious. They glared at Lin Xian and wanted to tear him apart. They were all young geniuses and believed that their talents were extraordinary. They didn't put ordinary people in their eyes. But now they were actually being looked down upon by a weak and injured kid. This was absolutely intolerable. Let me kill him. A young man from the Yen family slashed out with a strong murderous aura. Looking at the young man, the elder's eyes were filled with uncertainty. They didn't want to lose any more disciples, but if they didn't vent their anger, it would be too sullen. Moreover, although the young man before him was only at the second celestial level, his talent was extraordinary, and he could already fight against a third celestial level venerate. If they sent someone like him out, they would definitely be able to kill the other party. As for Lin Xian, he was extremely weak now. The attack just now was probably the last of his strength. This time the other party definitely wouldn't be able to block it. Thinking of this, the elder in blue robes nodded. Seeing that the elder had given him permission, the tall young man revealed a cruel smile. He leaped high into the air and glided in the air like a beast. Then he landed heavily on the ground, causing the entire ground to crack. Countless terrifying cracks spread out in all directions, and the entire ground was split into pieces. One punch is enough to kill you. Lin Xian shook his head slightly. The person from before was also very confident, but now he's lying on the ground. I advise you to get lost if you want to live. The disciples of the Yen clan are just trash. You're courting death. Tiger Flame Steel Fist. The tall young man roared and threw out a punch. Terrifying energy roared and gathered into a ferocious tiger. Countless flames burned on its body, emitting terrifying energy. This punch was extremely powerful. It was indeed comparable to a rank 3 honorable. Lin Xian's face darkened. He pursed his lips and raised his arm. Holding the Lone Star Sword, he stabbed out. A sword chi streaked across the air and quickly sliced the ferocious tiger apart. Then, the sword chi shone and entered the tall young man's body. Ping ping ping. In an instant, the terrifying and vast energy disappeared. The tall young man's body was split into 2 from the middle. His upper body fell to the ground while his lower body was still in the charging position. After running for dozens of meters, his lower body fell down. Blood flowed out like a pillar and dyed the ground red. Cough cough. After stabbing out, Lin Xian's face turned even paler. His body trembled slightly and he coughed out a few drops of blood. Silence, absolute silence. The entire space was dead silent. Countless people widened their eyes in disbelief. After a long time, the martial artists of the Yen clan exclaimed. The elders in the sky also had hideous expressions. They were so angry that their bodies trembled. That was the genius of the Yen clan. He was a martial artist who could challenge those of a higher cultivation level. But at this moment he was killed by an extremely weak brat. Their Yen clan disciple's body was split into two, but the despicable thief only coughed out a mouthful of blood? This huge contrast was something they could not accept. Lin Xian was expressionless, but he was roaring in his heart. He was indeed extremely weak. When he attacked just now, he endured the pain all over his body. Now he felt as if his entire body was about to split apart. Fortunately, his willpower was strong and he forcefully resisted the pain. Moreover, he appeared to be calm and indifferent. His goal was to anger the other party to death. As expected, the other party was so angry that she was about to explode. "Brat, I'm going to kill you." The old woman in green had a hideous look on her face. She pointed out a finger and a jade-green finger beam pierced towards Lin Xian. Lin Xian frowned. He turned his body with difficulty and dodged to the side. This movement made the corner of his mouth twitch. His entire body felt like it was about to split apart. Whoosh! The finger beam brushed past his body. The terrifying aura pushed him back, causing Lin Xian to spit out a few more mouthfuls of blood. "Damn it, old witch. I'll kill you later." Lin Xian gritted his teeth. Then he slowly stood up and smiled. "What? The young one can't beat me, so the old one has to step in? Today, even if you're shameless to the end, I'll take you all on. Ah, I'm so angry." In the sky, the elders' eyes were burning with anger. Their bodies were about to combust. They were too angry. He was obviously a weak thief, but he was able to avoid their killing moves several times. This made them go crazy. There's no need for the elders to step in to deal with a dying person. At this moment, a calm voice sounded. Chapter 902. That person was dressed in black and looked very handsome. There was a heroic spirit between his eyebrows and the aura on his body was even more terrifying. He was not any weaker than the Yen family elders. The young man was also a third-level honorable. To be able to reach the third level of honorable at such a young age, he was definitely a genius. It's just a small matter. Why don't the elders do it? Let me do it. The young man looked calm and did not take Lin Xian seriously. Very well, then I'll leave it to you. The elders heaved a sigh of relief when they saw the young man. This time, the Yen clan's reputation could be redeemed. The young man was a third-level honorable and was not much weaker than them. It would be safe for him to do it. Bing Ling and the others were worried again. The young man was a terrifying opponent. Even if Lin Xian was at his peak, he would have to take him seriously. However, Lin Xian was extremely weak now. How could he defeat the young man? Lin Xian narrowed his eyes. He did not expect the Yen family to have such a young expert. However, it was impossible for the young man to kill him just like that. "Speak. Do you want to kill yourself to atone for your crimes? Or do you want me to do it?" The young man stood with his hands behind his back. He raised his chin and looked arrogant. "Do it myself?" Lin Xian laughed. "I don't have such a habit. Then I'll help you. However, you'll end up in a miserable state if you fall into my hands. You better be mentally prepared." The arrogant young man laughed coldly and pointed with his finger. His finger technique was the same as the elder who had attacked earlier. It was the Yen family's ultimate technique, the void-penetrating finger. It was said to be able to penetrate everything. When the arrogant young man used it, its power was terrifying. The arrogant young man laughed coldly and pointed with his finger. His finger shone brightly like a silver dragon. It was extremely bright and let out a roar that shook the heavens and earth. In an instant, the silver light arrived in front of Lin Xian and crashed into him. Lin Xian frowned and his eyes shone brightly. He could naturally feel the power of the finger. However, he was now extremely weak and did not have much strength left. He had to plan carefully to kill this expert in front of him. Therefore he did not dodge. Instead, he used the red lotus armor and formed a red armor shadow in front of him. Bang! In the next moment, the terrifying finger light collided with the crimson armor phantom, producing a deafening sound. Lin Xian was also sent flying by the immense force. Fortunately, the red lotus battle armor was extremely powerful and neutralized most of the force. However, his body was currently extremely weak, and his remaining strength caused him to spit out a mouthful of blood. I thought you were some kind of expert, but it seems like you can't even withstand a single blow. How boring. The arrogant young man raised his chin and stared coldly at Lin Xian. Can't even withstand a single blow? Dongfang Fenghuang was trembling with anger. She couldn't take it anymore. The other party was too despicable and shameless. Why didn't you say that when Lin Xian wasn't injured? Now that you're dealing with a seriously injured person, you still have the nerve to call yourself a genius? If I were you, I would have killed myself long ago. Yang Lin snorted coldly. The other party did not dare to come out when Lin Xian was at his peak. Now that Lin Xian was weak and could not use his strength, the other party jumped out to make a fuss. He was indeed shameless. However, the arrogant young man did not think much of it. He sneered and said nonchalantly, "No matter what you say, he's lying on the ground now and I'm unharmed. This is the difference between us." Difference? Lin Xian laughed. He stood up from the ground and wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth. He said coldly, "You're a third-rank honorable. You don't dare to fight me in close combat when I'm seriously injured. Instead, you choose to attack me from afar. Tell me the difference between us. You don't even have the courage to fight me in close combat. How can someone like you be called a genius? You're just a coward. Do I need to fight you in close combat to kill you? One finger is enough." The arrogant young man sneered and was unmoved. Fine. Then try to kill me with one finger." Lin Xian's face darkened. At this point, he had to stay calm and provoke the other party as much as possible. He would only have a chance to kill the other party if the other party was enraged and fought him in close combat. "You want to die? It's not that easy," the arrogant young man said coldly. "I'll cripple your right leg with my next finger." He was very arrogant and directly stated the direction of his next attack. Only someone who was extremely confident or who had a huge difference in strength would dare to do so. It was obvious that the arrogant young man was superior and did not take Lin Xian seriously at all. As soon as he finished speaking, he raised his finger and bent it slightly. Then he flicked it quickly. Buzz! The void was torn apart, and a silver ray of light pierced toward Lin Xian instantly. The direction and angle of the attack happened to be Lin Xian's right leg. Lin Xian gritted his teeth again and endured the tearing pain all over his body. He activated his spiritual power and formed the red lotus armor in front of his right leg. Bam! There was another earth-shattering tremor. He was pushed back and blood flowed from the corner of his mouth again. However, he managed to block the attack. I'm afraid I'll have to disappoint you." Lin Xian stared ahead with a look of disdain. Seeing this, the arrogant young man from the Yan family's face darkened and there was a look of anger in his eyes. He did not expect a dying guy to be able to block his attack. This was very surprising to him. "You can't even hurt a seriously injured person. What a piece of trash," Dongfang Fenghuang said disdainfully. "Weren't you very confident before? I think you're just slapping yourself in the face," Yang Lin said in a low voice. Bing Ling and the others also looked at him with disdain. Feeling their gazes, the arrogant young man was completely enraged. "Boy, you've successfully angered me. Since you want to die so badly, I'll fulfill your wish." The arrogant young man's face darkened. He took a step forward and prepared to finish off his opponent in close combat. In the void, the few elders from the Yan family frowned. The other party had repeatedly provoked them and wanted to fight in close combat. Could it be that he was up to something? Therefore, the blue-robed elder quickly sent a voice transmission to remind the arrogant young man not to fight in close combat. "Elder, don't worry. What kind of tricks can a dying boy play?" The arrogant young man was very confident. "If I can't even kill him, I don't deserve to be called the genius of the Yan family." Indeed, he had the right to be confident. To be able to reach the third level of the honorable realm at such a young age, his talent was shocking. He did not think that there was any suspense in this battle. With a stomp, the arrogant young man turned into a black shadow and quickly charged towards Lin Xian. This scene made Dongfang Fenghuang and the others nervous. Although Lin Xian had provoked the arrogant young man to fight in close combat, they were still very worried now that it was really close combat. The main reason was that Lin Xian was too weak now. It would be difficult for him to continue fighting with a third-level honorable realm. Bing Ling and the others sent voice transmissions to each other and secretly circulated their spiritual energy, preparing to strike at the critical moment. Lin Xian looked at the figure that was charging towards him and a cold smile appeared on his face. The other party had finally taken the bait. Previously, he had risked his injuries to take the other party's attacks head-on. He had finally angered the other party and started to fight in close combat. Chapter 903. He gritted his teeth and endured the pain all over his body. He summoned a blood clone while he gripped the Lone Star Sword tightly. Whoosh! The arrogant young man arrived in front of Lin Xian in an instant. His eyes were filled with cruelty as he extended his fist and punched Lin Xian's head. Bang! The punch landed squarely on Lin Xian's body. The arrogant young man felt blood spurting out and the stench of blood was pungent. However, he did not know that it was only Lin Xian's blood clone that was injured. Lin Xian's real body quickly retreated the moment he punched and dodged the fatal blow. Lin Xian was using his clone to create an illusion and create an opportunity to attack. Now, the opportunity he had been waiting for was here. The Lone Star Sword flashed and stabbed out quickly. A cold light shook heaven and earth. At that moment, countless people were shocked as if they had been slashed by a sharp sword. Bang! The next moment the scene seemed to have frozen. In front of him, the clone that was destroyed slowly dissipated and turned into a bloody mist that merged back into Lin Xian's body. Meanwhile, the arrogant young man's body was stiff and trembling non-stop. A blue sword had pierced through his chest. That's impossible. I've already destroyed your head. How can you still be alive? He had a look of disbelief. Humph, you don't believe me when I say you're trash. Can't you see that? Lin Xian said disdainfully. Go to hell and think about it slowly. With that, he pulled out the Lone Star Sword. Previously, Lin Xian had used up all his strength, so when he pulled out the sword, his entire arm was trembling. The arrogant young man from the Yan family was about to explode when he saw this scene. Such a weak person had actually killed him? He was unwilling and wanted to resist, but the power of the great dragon sword soul bombarded his body. He could not resist at all and could only watch helplessly. Moreover, his life force was rapidly draining away. A cold feeling enveloped his body. He regretted that he had to engage in close combat with Lin Xian. Plop. When Lin Xian pulled out the Lone Star Sword, the arrogant young man's body fell to the ground. He could not be more dead. The surrounding people were dumbfounded. They could not believe it. A third Sky Venerable Realm expert had died just like that? Bing Ling and the others widened their eyes and stared at Lin Xian with a strange expression. This guy is really scary. No. In the sky, the elders of the Yan family roared. Ah, damn thief, I'm going to kill you. They were crazy, completely crazy. That arrogant young man was the pride of their clan, the hope of their clan. But now he had been killed. Aggrieved, too aggrieved. Those elders' eyes were all red like demons. Their bodies were emitting a terrifying killing intent. Die, you little thief. The green-clothed old woman shrieked. She waved her fingers and 5 streaks of silver light shot out like 5 silver flood dragons. They shot through the air at high speed, emitting thunderous sounds. The blue-robed old man also attacked. A blue palm with a mysterious aura slammed downwards. In an instant, a terrifying aura quickly enveloped Lin Xian. Attack. Bing Ling let out a soft cry and quickly attacked. She knew that Lin Xian would not be able to withstand such an attack. Frost danced in the air. Countless icicles rose from the ground and pierced the sky. They were like divine spears, emitting a chilling aura. Yang Lin roared and formed a seal with his palms. A huge rock cage was formed to protect Lin Xian. Dongfang Fenghuang and Yi Yan also launched powerful attacks to resist the elders of the Yan family. All kinds of collision sounds were heard. Light splashed everywhere and the entire sky was covered. When the light disappeared, Lin Xian was still standing there with a pale face and a mocking smile on his face. Seeing that smile, the elders of the Yan family were furious. The Yan family is really useless. They can't even kill a dying man. A charming laughter was heard, with a strong sense of disdain. Who is it? Come out. The blue-robed elder roared and his voice shook the surroundings. They were on the verge of going berserk. How dare someone laugh at them? That's courting death. You're so angry. But you seem to have found the wrong person. That voice suddenly turned cold. It was like a sharp sword that cut through the void. Then an enchanting figure appeared. Behind him was a large group of martial artists. Vientiane auction. Seeing the enchanting figure, the eyes of the Yan family's elder shrunk. He did not expect the other party to come. Lin Xian frowned again. It seemed like his whereabouts had been completely exposed. Bing Ling and the rest stood together nervously. They did not expect to attract so many experts. Haha, it's so lively. A loud voice rang out. It was as loud as a bell, shaking the heavens and earth. A huge golden spiritual boat came from afar. It was like a golden ray of light. In an instant it had arrived nearby. Countless martial artists stood on the spiritual boat. The one in front was a burly man who looked like a golden giant. He carried a huge battle axe on his back and his entire body was filled with explosive power. Quang Zhan. They did not expect the people from the huge axe city to come as well. Kid, you can't escape this time. Quang Zhan looked down and his eyes were burning. Countless martial artists flew over. Other than the three major forces, the Huang family and the Lung family from Windy City were also there. Anyway, they were all here for the Lone Star Sword. Kid, hand over the Lone Star Sword. Countless voices rang out, filled with greed. Looking at the martial artists, Lin Xian's face turned cold. He whispered to Bing Ling and the rest, listen up. Leave quickly. This has nothing to do with you. The situation this time was too dangerous. He did not want Bing Ling and the rest to take the risk. After all, they had helped him a lot. No. Bing Ling and the rest shook their heads. Although the situation was bad, they were not willing to leave. Don't worry, I have a way to save my life. Do you still remember the space teleportation platform? I still have it here. Lin Xian said through voice transmission. As long as you leave safely, these people will not be able to trap me. Really? Bing Ling and the rest lifted their heads. Looking at Lin Xian's confident smile, they calmed down. You said it. You must come back alive. Bing Ling and the rest nodded their heads. No problem. Lin Xian smiled. After which, he lifted his head and said, the one you are looking for is me. Let the people around me leave. Leave. How is that possible? An elder from the Huang family sneered. Those who are here today, don't even think about leaving. An expert from the Lung family said coldly. Bing Ling snorted coldly and raised her hand to throw out a jade token. The token enlarged in the air, resembling a jade door. On top of it, the words Immortal Martial were written in flamboyant calligraphy. Immortal Martial? Immortal Martial Academy. Seeing this scene, many martial artists were shocked. The eyes of the experts from the Huang and Lung families narrowed, their faces filled with shock. You dare to block the path of a disciple from the Immortal Martial Academy? How dare you? Bing Ling shouted, her voice containing a trace of anger. Chapter 904. The faces of the experts from the Huang and Lung clans turned black. They were filled with regret. Why did they have to take the lead? Now that they had offended someone from the Immortal Martial Academy, they didn't dare to offend them. Looking at the awkward expressions of the two clans, Ling Lin laughed coldly. If you don't have the strength, don't come out to show off. Hearing this, the experts from the Huang and Lung clans trembled with anger. They glared at Lin Xian, wishing they could tear him apart. Alright, you guys can leave, but he has to stay. The alluring lady from the Wanxiang auction, Shangguan Xian, pointed at Lin Xian and said coldly, Junior brother Lin, be careful. Bing Ling and the rest looked deeply at Lin Xian before soaring into the sky and leaving quickly. Although the situation was extremely dangerous, they believed that Lin Xian would definitely return safely. Moreover, they had another reason for leaving, and that was to seek help from the academy. For a peerless genius like Lin Xian, the Immortal Martial Academy would definitely not allow him to fall. Looking at the departing figures of Bing Ling and the rest, the surrounding cultivators laughed maniacally. The current Lin Xian was like a weak ant, unable to escape at all. He was completely at their mercy. Brat, hand over the Lone Star Sword and I can leave you with an intact corpse. Hehe, I won't let you die so easily. I'll let you know what it means to live a life worse than death. All sorts of arrogant voices rang out, eyes filled with greed. Lin Xian coughed twice, wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth, and walked away shakily. Brat, I advise you not to play any tricks. If not, you will die a horrible death. Shangguan Xian said coldly. No matter whether you can get the Lone Star Sword or not, you will definitely die today. I will let you know the consequences of offending the Yen clan. The few elders from the Yen clan gritted their teeth. A group of people floated in the air, looking at Lin Xian walking slowly on the ground. All of them had cruel smiles on their faces. They were like a cat playing with a mouse, not in a hurry to make a move, but instead enjoying this moment of torment. Lin Xian's face was expressionless. He walked slowly, but in his heart, he was sneering. A bunch of damn bastards. Just you wait. Soon you won't be able to laugh anymore. He walked very slowly, but it didn't take long for him to arrive near Xiao Li's corpse. Lin Xian's goal was very simple. His body was currently weak and he could not use much strength. Therefore, in order to deal with the people around him, he needed to have strength first. And Xiao Li's corpse was the best source of power. Xiao Li was a 4th-level martial saint and was extremely powerful. His blood contained a large amount of essence energy. Lin Xian, on the other hand, had obtained the blood sword inheritance and could use this blood to recover. Therefore in the next moment he bent his fingers and shot out a thin red light that pierced into Xiao Li's corpse. With a low shout, Lin Xian activated the blood sword inheritance and quickly absorbed the blood energy. Not good, quickly kill this brat. Seeing Lin Xian's strange actions, Shang Guanxian's face finally changed. Her willowy eyebrows trembled, and a bad premonition arose in her heart. With a shout, Shang Guanxian waved her jade-like hands, and a pair of white jade-like palms slammed down from the sky. However, she was still one step too late. Lin Xian activated the blood sword inheritance and instantly gained strength. Although he had not fully recovered, he could already move freely. With a tap of his foot, he activated the illusory demon steps and calmly dodged the palm. At the same time, he clenched his fist and a blood-red sword appeared in his hand. In the next moment, a ferocious dragon head appeared on the blood-red sword and swallowed Xiao Li's corpse. Quickly stop him, this brat is about to recover. At this moment, the surrounding martial artists understood what was going on. All of them screamed in fear and quickly launched powerful attacks towards Lin Xian. Countless dazzling lights flew in the sky, and like meteors they blasted downwards. However, Lin Xian was currently shrouded in a ball of red aura, and surrounded him like blood. On the blood-red light screen there were strange patterns and it was very strange and it emitted a terrifying aura. This was Lin Xian activating the blood sword inheritance's secret technique, and quickly absorbing the energy. Soon, the blood-red light on the surface of his body became stronger and stronger, and it quickly rotated. A wave of energy exploded, and it spread out in all directions. Boom! An earth-shattering vibration sounded, and a blood-red giant that was hundreds of feet tall suddenly appeared. It roared and swung its arms, and all the attacks that were coming towards it were all blown away. In the next moment, Lin Xian roared and his black hair fluttered. He was like a demon god, and a terrifying aura spread out in all directions. The blood-red sword in his hand disappeared, and in its place was the Lone Star sword that was blooming with dark blue light. After using the blood sword inheritance's secret technique, in addition to the energy from Xiao Li's corpse, Lin Xian's strength had finally recovered. He held the Lone Star sword in his hand, and his cold eyes scanned the surroundings. He was like the god of death and he emitted a biting cold murderous aura. A bunch of old dogs, didn't you want the Lone Star sword? It's here now, come and take it if you can. What's so great about recovering your strength? I'll kill you now. A figure flew out quickly, carrying a terrifying aura. It was an elder of the Yen family, and his strength was at the third heaven of the honorable realm. He attacked with all his strength, and a violent energy swept out in all directions. However, Lin Xian's expression was cold, and he quickly swung his sword. Poof! A head flew up and blood spurted out. Then Lin Xian used the blood-red sword to pin him in the air, and he quickly sucked his blood dry. A blood-red figure appeared behind him, holding a blood-red sword. It emitted a monstrous aura of blood, and it sucked all the blood dry. In the next moment, Lin Xian's aura became stronger. Shocking, absolutely shocking. A third heaven of the honorable realm could not even block a single sword. What a piece of trash. Whether it was the old or the young of the Yen family, they were all trash. Lin Xian's expression was cold, and he sneered disdainfully. In the sky, the elders of the Yen family were furious, and at the same time, a chill rose in their hearts. The elder who attacked just now was not much weaker than them, and he was also an expert of the family. However, he was killed in just one move. This made their hearts tremble, and they did not dare to act rashly. As expected of a half-Earth-ranked treasure, it's actually so powerful. It can let a second heaven of the honorable realm kill a third heaven expert so easily. This treasure must not fall into the hands of others. Berserker's voice was loud and clear, and it was filled with excitement. Everyone, let's attack together. I don't believe that he can fight against so many people. Shang Guanxian also shouted. Okay, let's attack together. Let's kill this little thief first, then we'll discuss the Lone Star sword. Immediately, dozens of martial artists walked out. These people were all third heaven honorables, and they had terrifying auras on their bodies. When they connected together, their momentum was terrifying. Not to mention Lin Xian, they were confident that they could kill even a fourth heaven honorable. Chapter 905. Dozens of third-level venerables sneered as they pressed down on Lin Xian, creating an extremely terrifying aura. With so many people, it was enough to kill a fourth-level venerables. Lin Xian's heart was also heavy. He activated the Great Dragon Sword Soul to the extreme as he had no choice but to attack with all his strength. An intense battle erupted as sword chi flashed and light flashed, causing the entire space to become chaotic. Lin Xian had an offensive saint technique like the Great Dragon Sword Soul. At the same time he also had the Lone Star Sword, a powerful half-earth rank artifact. His battle prowess was astonishing. However, the opponents this time were too strong. Dozens of third-level venerables joined forces and their aura shook the sky. Even with the ancient treasure he could only barely resist. However, the third-level venerables were even more shocked. They could already kill a fourth-level venerables when they joined forces, but they couldn't take down a second-level venerables in such a short time. This made them extremely shocked, and their desire for the Lone Star Sword grew even stronger. If they could obtain such a treasure, their strength would definitely increase by several times. Dozens of people joined forces and formed a terrifying light palm that blasted towards Lin Xian. Lin Xian quickly slashed out a blood-colored sword chi. The two collided and produced a loud boom. Lin Xian was blasted back dozens of feet. His body was attacked again and blood flowed from the corner of his mouth. There was no other way. The combined attack of dozens of third-level venerables was too strong. Only he could withstand it. If it was anyone else they probably wouldn't be able to withstand a single move. Brat, so what if you've recovered your strength? You can't play any tricks in front of us. Hand over the Lone Star Sword and I can give you a quick death. Otherwise you'll die a miserable death. Seeing that Lin Xian was injured, everyone sneered again. Lin Xian wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and said coldly, "Do you really think you have the situation under control? You're all so arrogant. Aren't you afraid of being slapped in the face again? What other tricks do you have? Use them all. With all of us joining forces, we can even kill a fourth-level venerables. It's enough to deal with you." The blue-robed elder from the Yen family said ferociously. His eyes were spitting fire as he stared at Lin Xian, killing intent radiating from his body. So what if I can fight a fourth-level venerables? I've even killed a true fourth-level venerable realm cultivator before, let alone you guys. Lin Xian's voice was sonorous and carried a biting cold killing intent. Since you want to die, don't blame me for being ruthless. Hearing this, everyone's hearts trembled, and a chill rose from the bottom of their hearts. Indeed, before they came, Lin Xian had killed a fourth-level venerable. Hurry up and get rid of this brat. Stop delaying. Shengguan Xian said softly. She also had a bad feeling in her heart. Everyone looked at each other and nodded slightly. Then they activated the spiritual energy in their bodies and prepared to go all out. Lin Xian revealed an evil smile. He put the Lone Star Sword back into the scabbard on his back and closed his eyes. Inside his body, the Great Dragon Sword Soul had transformed into a huge azure dragon and was constantly colliding with the mysterious small sword. At the same time, Lin Xian's soul also entered the mysterious little sword. He manipulated the Great Dragon Sword Soul to form the azure dragon palm and viciously grabbed at the huge black cauldron. A low sound was heard. In the space inside the mysterious little sword, the Thousand Beast Cauldron was attacked and emitted a terrifying aura. A black light flickered and the momentum was terrifying. If it was outside, the entire ground would have been shattered. However, inside the mysterious little sword, there was no impact at all. However, the Thousand Beast Cauldron was activated. Its entire body emitted a black light, and various birds and beasts swam quickly on the cauldron. "Come out!" Lin Xian roared. He used the Great Dragon Sword Soul to form the Azure Dragon Palm and quickly grabbed at the Thousand Beast Cauldron. Then he forcefully threw it outside. In the outside world, when everyone saw Lin Xian put away the Lone Star Sword, they immediately laughed and attacked. In an instant, powerful attacks came from all directions. If hit, even a fourth-level Venerable Realm Cultivator would die. Just as these attacks were about to land on Lin Xian, the air around Lin Xian fluctuated rapidly. It was as if it was about to shatter and there were cracking sounds. A black shadow appeared from his body, and then it rapidly grew, forming a huge black cauldron that suppressed the surroundings. Boom. As soon as the black cauldron appeared, it brought with it a terrifying aura. It spread out in all directions, shattering all the attacks that were flying towards it. What? When the surrounding martial artists saw this, their pupils constricted and they were shocked. They could not believe that Lin Xian could really neutralize their attacks. Damn it, what exactly is this huge black cauldron? So powerful. Everyone was shocked and confused. Even the Lone Star Sword could not neutralize their attacks. In the next moment, they felt the ferocious aura coming from the huge black cauldron. Immediately their bodies froze and fear appeared on their faces. The aura was too terrifying and it made their hearts palpitate. It was like ants meeting a huge dragon. What exactly is this thing? At this moment Shang Guanxian, Crazy Warrior, and the rest were all shocked. At this moment, Lin Xian suddenly opened his eyes. A layer of bright red armor covered his body, resisting the ferocious aura coming from the huge black cauldron. Then, his lips curled into a sinister smile. He pulled out the Lone Star Sword again, activated the Great Dragon Sword Soul, and slashed at the huge black cauldron. Dong, dong, dong. The sound of metal clashing could be heard. Then the entire black cauldron trembled. Black light bloomed from its body, condensing into a black pillar of light that pierced through the sky. An extremely terrifying aura instantly erupted. Feeling this terrifying aura, Lin Xian's face changed drastically. Without any hesitation, he raised his hand and threw out a mysterious jade platform, quickly teleporting away. Just as Lin Xian used the mysterious jade platform to teleport away, the Thousand Beast Cauldron finally erupted. A terrifying ferocious aura covered heaven and earth, forming a cage. Countless black demonic beasts rushed out, charging at the surrounding martial artists. This change was too sudden. From the moment the Thousand Beast Cauldron appeared to the moment it erupted, it happened in an instant. The martial artists who came to kill Lin Xian did not even have time to react before they were surrounded. The Third Heaven Honorable Realm martial artists were still fine. With their powerful strength they could withstand the pressure. However, the other martial artists were not so lucky. The black demonic beasts were like a black flood that covered the sky and earth. They quickly pounced on those martial artists. Instantly, flesh and blood splattered everywhere. All sorts of screams could be heard. It was like a scene from hell. No. Seeing their disciples being killed, the Third Heaven Honorable Realm martial artists' eyes turned red. They roared like demons and waved their hands, quickly slashing at the black demonic beasts. However, those demonic beasts were not real. They were just bodies of energy. There was no end to them. Even though the Third Heaven Honorable Realm martial artists were strong, their combined attacks were not effective. Not only that, the aura emitted by the Thousand Beast Cauldron was too terrifying. It made their hearts tremble. They did not have the time to care about the others. Chapter 906. The other level 3 venerables also cursed loudly. They wanted nothing more than to tear Lin Xian apart. Feeling the increasingly strong murderous aura, these people did not dare to stay and quickly fled into the distance. However, they had still underestimated the power of the Thousand Beast Cauldron. It was a complete Earth-grade treasure, so how could these people resist it? In the next moment, the Thousand Beast Cauldron emitted light and quickly expanded, completely enveloping the entire space. Countless black lights crisscrossed and surrounded all the cultivators. Ah! In an instant, countless screams sounded like the howls of ghosts. However, not a single cultivator was able to escape. Lin Xian used the mysterious jade platform and teleported hundreds of miles away. When he appeared again, he immediately stabilized his body and quickly flew into the distance. A pair of wind and thunder wings appeared on his back. Mysterious patterns flickered on them and he flapped his wings. He was like a stream of light quickly flying through the air. After flying for a long time, he stopped and looked behind him. Extremely far away, black gas lingered like demonic clouds. It was extremely hazy, and it was impossible to see what was inside. Lin Xian could still feel the terrifying aura from so far away. Want to kill me? I'll let you enjoy your fear. Lin Xian sneered. He had seen how terrifying the Thousand Beast Cauldron was. Back then, it could even blast open the king's space, let alone those level 3 venerables. Retracting his gaze, Lin Xian came to a mountain peak and quickly sat down to recover. Previously, he had only used the blood sword secret technique to forcefully increase his battle strength. This secret technique had a certain limit, and the aftereffects were not small. Now that he was out of danger, he could properly recover. Lin Xian sat down cross-legged and used the longevity art. Then he took out all kinds of spirit pills, spirit wine, and natural treasures. He quickly swallowed them. Lin Xian had so many treasures that even level 4 venerables would blush if they saw them. Half a day later, he opened his eyes, and his body had recovered to its peak. This recovery speed was terrifying. If others saw it, their jaws would definitely drop. On one hand, it was because Lin Xian possessed a variety of natural treasures. On the other hand, the secret art of longevity was shockingly powerful. In particular, the endless vitality provided by it was of great help to Lin Xian. No matter how serious his injuries were, as long as Lin Xian was still alive, he would be able to quickly recover by using the longevity secret art. Withdrawing his cultivation technique, Lin Xian opened his eyes and gazed into the distance. In the distance, the terrifying aura was still there, but it was much smaller than before. After calculating the time, Lin Xian felt that it was about time. Those third heaven venerables could not possibly resist for so long. With a sway of his body, he returned to the original direction like a phantom. After sprinting all the way, he finally returned to the original direction. Seeing the pitch-black cauldron in front of him, Lin Xian was also shocked. He had to admit that the 10,000 beast cauldron was too terrifying. Just the aura it emitted was enough to make him tremble slightly. Taking a deep breath, Lin Xian once again urged the great dragon sword soul to attack the mysterious small sword in his body. In the next moment, the mysterious small sword released a mysterious aura that carried with it a desolate aura. Suddenly, the 10,000 beast cauldron in the distance trembled and spun rapidly. It turned into a black ray of light and entered Lin Xian's body. With a flash of light, it appeared in the mysterious small space again. Lin Xian was stunned. He originally thought that it would take a lot of effort to subdue the 10,000 beast cauldron again, but he did not expect it to be so simple. Moreover, from the looks of it, the 10,000 beast cauldron could not wait to enter. It seemed that this small glazed sword was indeed mysterious. Even the 10,000 beast cauldron could not resist it. Lin Xian did not delve into the reason. With a sway of his body, he sprinted forward. There the ground cracked and shattered into countless pieces. Blood flowed, and countless weapon fragments and corpses were scattered everywhere. It was like a hellish hell. The ground was covered in blood, and not a single person survived. Thousands of martial artists and dozens of third heaven venerables had all died here. Looking at this scene, Lin Xian's expression was cold. These people were here to kill him. If he was not ruthless, he would be killed. Taking a deep breath, Lin Xian turned and left quickly. Ancient Path Town. This was the only way back to the Immortal Martial Academy. In this small town there were a few young figures, 2 males and 2 females. They had extraordinary auras and attracted the attention of others. They were naturally Bing Ling and the others. They had already sent a signal to the academy and were waiting here. This was the only way back to the academy. If Lin Xian returned, he would definitely pass by here. Do you guys think that Lin Xian will be fine? Dongfang Fenghuang was a little worried. He should be fine. Looking at junior brother Lin's last expression, he should not be courting death. There was no choice. Facing so many people, they could not think of how Lin Xian could escape. Even with the mysterious jade platform, it would take a lot of energy to completely shake off those people. The group of people waited anxiously. However, one day later, a young figure landed here. Lin Xian. Dongfang Fenghuang and the others had been paying close attention to the passers-by. When they saw the young figure, they instantly exclaimed in shock. "You're fine, that's great." Dongfang Fenghuang cheered. Bing Ling and the others also hurried over, their faces filled with shock. On one hand, they were cheering for Lin Xian being able to return alive. On the other hand, they were extremely shocked. Lin Xian was actually able to shake off those people in such a short time. His strength was too terrifying. I really want to know, how did you shake off those people? Bing Ling's beautiful eyes turned, staring at Lin Xian as she asked. Unless you have countless mysterious jade platforms. The mysterious jade platforms are incomparably precious. It's already not bad if I have 1 or 2. Lin Xian smiled. As for how he shook them off, that was a secret. Seeing Lin Xian smiling and not saying anything, Bing Ling did not continue asking. After all, everyone had their own secrets. The group of people gathered together to celebrate. After which, they rested and set off for the Immortal Martial Academy the next day. 2 days later, they arrived at the Immortal Martial Academy. Looking at the majestic mountains and rivers, as well as the halls scattered like stars in the sky, Lin Xian and the others sighed in their hearts. Although the past few days were short, they had experienced many thrilling experiences. Now that they were back in the quiet academy, it was a different feeling. After Lin Xian and the others entered the Immortal Martial Academy, they directly rushed to the mission hall. The mission hall was still bustling with people coming and going. The 100-feet-tall crystal screen emitted a faint glow. On it, there was information about the missions of the academy. Lin Xian and the others landed in front of the mission hall. After which, they tidied their clothes and walked into the hall. After handing in the missions, "We must have a good rest." Everyone cheered. The mission hall was even more crowded. Everywhere there were disciples completing missions or handing in missions. In the hall, there were crystal platforms with all sorts of detailed information on them. Bing Ling led Lin Xian and the others through the mission hall, heading deeper into the mission hall. She accepted a 4-star mission, so she was in the depths of the mission hall. "We're here," Bing Ling said. After which, she took out a jade token and pressed it against the crystal platform. Buzz buzz. Chapter 907. After the news was confirmed, Lin Xian and the others quickly received their rewards. Everyone's face was filled with joy. Lin Xian also checked his spirit tablet and found that there was indeed an extra 1 million spiritual value points. The others were also beaming with joy. They had all received a generous reward. It's worth taking such a huge risk. However, not long after Bing Ling handed over the mission, a middle-aged man quickly walked over. Elder. Bing Ling greeted the middle-aged man respectfully. The others also hurriedly greeted him. Yes, follow me. The middle-aged man turned around and walked inside. Finally they arrived at a private room. You're saying that the treasure this time isn't an ordinary treasure, but a king's treasure? The middle-aged man frowned. Yes. Bing Ling said, it's indeed a king's treasure. However, the last king's treasure disappeared. As long as one investigated carefully, they would know about this matter. Therefore Bing Ling didn't hide anything. Alright, you've worked hard. In order to make up for the loophole in the mission information, each of you will be compensated with 100,000 spiritual value points. Thank you, Elder. Bing Ling and the others said. Lin Xian was also excited. 100,000 spiritual stones wasn't a small amount. Elder will take our leave. Bing Ling led Lin Xian and the others away. After they left, the middle-aged man revealed a thoughtful expression. Although the Immortal Martial Academy was powerful, they couldn't ignore the king's treasure. Especially the information they had just received. The king's treasure seemed to be very powerful. However, they didn't know how it disappeared. The middle-aged man didn't doubt Bing Ling and the others at all. That kind of treasure wasn't something that a third-level venerable could obtain. Of course, if he knew that the so-called king's treasure was in Lin Xian's body, what kind of expression would he have? Lin Xian and the others walked out of the mission hall in a good mood. This time we must exchange for that thing. Yang Lin held the spirit tablet in his hand with an excited expression. Lin Xian also smiled and said, thank you everyone. If you need anything in the future, just say the word. He was indeed very excited. With 1 million spiritual value points, he was one step closer to the dragon blood. After chatting for a while, they went their separate ways. Yang Lin and the others wanted to go to the True Spirit Hall, while Lin Xian wanted to return to the freshman courtyard. After bidding farewell to everyone, Lin Xian transformed into a streak of sword light and flew off into the distance. A sword light flashed and landed above the freshman area. Then Lin Xian's figure appeared. Older brother Xian. Young master Xian. Seeing that figure, many people stood up and shouted excitedly. Let's celebrate today, then rest for 2 days. I'll take you to a place, Lin Xian said with a smile. Very quickly the people from the Dragon Sword Pavilion arrived. The current Dragon Sword Pavilion had close to 700 people. It could be said to be a large scale. After a night of revelry, everyone went back to rest. Lin Xian and Murong Qingqing walked side by side to the courtyard. With a wave of his hand, Lin Xian entered the courtyard. Then he completely relaxed and fell into a deep sleep. He was too tired and needed a good rest. He slept all the way until the evening of the next day. Next, Lin Xian began to organize the spoils of war and consolidate his cultivation. The people of the Dragon Sword Pavilion also focused on their cultivation. After another 2 days, Lin Xian came out. He gathered the people of the Dragon Sword Pavilion and said in a clear voice, what we need to do this time is very simple, and that is to take revenge. The Huang family of Wind-Seeking City has chased after me many times. What do you think we should do? Fuck, he dares to chase after older brother Xian, kill him. Kill him. The unified slogan rang out, shaking the heavens. Lin Xian looked at the scene in front of him and nodded slightly. There were many people chasing after him. The reason why he took out the Huang family was because they had the Phoenix Blood Crimson Gold in their hands. This was what he wanted. Of course, Lin Xian would not let go of the other forces who had chased after him. Next, Lin Xian chose 200 Venerable Realm disciples to go together. Let's go. With an order, the group quickly soared into the sky and flew into the distance. Wind-Seeking City Huang family. In the past few days, the atmosphere in the Huang family was much more oppressive than before. Many people had solemn expressions and depressed hearts, casting a shadow over the entire Huang family. At this moment, many figures were gathered in a magnificent hall. Directly above, a purple-robed elder sat. He had a dignified face and a powerful aura emitted from his body. On both sides of him were other elders, but their expressions were incomparably solemn. Patriarch, so many days have passed, but the people we sent out have not received any news at all, an elder said worriedly. Yes, even if they don't succeed, they have to send back news. What about the other forces? The patriarch of the Huang family asked in a deep voice. We've sent people to investigate, but there's no news either. This time it was a middle-aged man who spoke. Logically speaking, with so many experts moving out, there was no suspense at all in capturing a second-rank venerable, even if the other party had a half-Earth rank artifact like the Lone Star Sword. However, after such a long time and with so many forces, there was no news at all. This was too strange. Send people to investigate again. If there's any news, report it immediately. The patriarch of the Huang family said. Yes. Everyone replied. However, before they could finish speaking, a shocking force suddenly appeared. It was as if a demonic mountain had enveloped the entire hall. Rumble. In an instant, the magnificent hall was blown to pieces. The huge building turned into powder. The elders in the hall were terrified and tried their best to resist. Not only that, but the entire Huang family was also affected. The buildings near the hall all collapsed and the ground cracked open. The entire Huang family was almost torn in half. Who is it? Countless people were terrified and rushed into the sky. However, as soon as they flew up, they were pressed down by a huge force and fell heavily to the ground. Some elders did not believe it and tried to charge forward. In the end, they were also smashed to the ground and vomited blood. The people of the Huang family were shocked. When they looked at the sky, their pupils constricted and their hearts almost jumped out. In the sky there was a dark mass. Countless figures gathered, like a demonic cloud enveloping the sky. A terrifying and powerful aura connected together, causing everyone to tremble. The aura was too powerful. Not to mention them, even a fourth-rank venerable would not be able to withstand it. Patriarch. A group of elders lay on the ground and looked at the patriarch of the Huang family with difficulty. The patriarch of the Huang family was also twitching his mouth and his heart was beating wildly. This was too terrifying. He could clearly sense that there were 200 venerable auras above. 200 of them. Not 2 and not 20. There were 200 of them. Even if they were all first-rank venerables, they would not be able to defeat them. Where did this force come from? Why did they want to cause trouble for the Huang family? The elders of the Huang family were stunned. Although they were usually arrogant, they were not stupid enough to provoke people from such a terrifying force. This scene not only shocked the Huang family, but also the entire Windy City. Countless martial artists gathered in this direction with shocked faces. It was too shocking. 200 venerables were enough to wipe out any force in Windy City. Who is this? How could they have such terrifying power? The Huang family is really unlucky. How dare they provoke such a force? Were they not courting death? Chapter 908. The scene was too shocking. With 200 honorables gathered together, the commotion caused was extremely terrifying. The Huang family patriarch said in a trembling voice, "May I ask who you are? Is there a misunderstanding?" The scene shocked everyone once again. Normally, if someone dared to cause trouble for the Huang family would not ask any questions and would kill the person immediately. But now, their mansion had been destroyed, yet the Huang family patriarch was not angry at all. Instead, he asked humbly. The surrounding martial artists could not believe what they were seeing. Misunderstanding? What misunderstanding could there be? In the sky, a faint voice drifted over. Following that, a young voice walked out and looked down. "It's you." Seeing the figure, many of the Huang family elders' pupils shrank and their hearts trembled violently. The person who came was none other than their target, Lin Xian. But shouldn't they be being chased by countless experts? Why would they be here? Also, why are there so many honorables behind him? The Huang family patriarch's face turned ugly. Since Lin Xian was here, it meant that their pursuit had failed. Moreover, there was no result after such a long time. Those people might have met with misfortune. They were shocked and could not believe it. How could Lin Xian escape from the pursuit of so many people? Not only did the Huang family martial artists recognize Lin Xian, but the surrounding martial artists also recognized Lin Xian. Instantly, the news spread like a gust of wind. Lin Xian was the owner of a half-Earth rank artifact. Ordinary people would be excited after hearing the news, but the major forces were shocked. They had sent people to kill Lin Xian. But now Lin Xian was alive and kicking? In an instant, the Lung family and the Vientiane auction could not sit still. At this time they had to join forces. Soon, countless martial artists took to the sky and headed towards the Huang family. Boom boom boom. The sky trembled as terrifying energy spread out in all directions. Martial artists from the other two families arrived and confronted Lin Xian and the rest. Seeing that there were reinforcements, the Huang family patriarch heaved a sigh of relief. If they were to face Lin Xian and the 200 honorables alone, they would not stand a chance. However, if the three families joined forces, it would be a different story. The three families were all powerful forces in the Windy City. If they joined forces, they would be able to fight against the other party. Lin Xian, it really is you. You didn't die. When the people from the Wanxiang auction and the Lung family saw this, their faces darkened. What's wrong? You guys seem very disappointed. Lin Xian's lips curled into a sneer. Today we're mainly here to deal with the Huang family. If you're here to die, I don't mind taking your lives. Stop boasting. Even if you have a lot of people with you, our three families are not to be trifled with. The Lung family said. If you don't believe me, you can try. So, the Lung clan wants to make a move? Lin Xian asked. Of course, the three of us will advance and retreat together. The Lung clan replied. Really? Lin Xian coldly laughed, then said in a clear voice, People of the Dragon Sword Pavilion, listen up. Yes. 200 people replied in unison, their voices shaking the 9 heavens. Just their voices alone were enough to make the surrounding martial artists fall to the ground. If the Lung clan dares to make a move, we'll give up on our enemies and kill the Lung clan with all our might. Leave no one alive. The cold voice resounded in the ears of the crowd. Countless people gasped in disbelief. The martial artists from the Lung clan stiffened and their faces turned ugly. This Lin Xian is too despicable. Originally, they were only here to provide assistance. However, this order pushed the Lung clan into the limelight. They did not doubt Lin Xian's order at all. If they were to make a move, Lin Xian might really do that. At that time, the Huang family would be fine, but the Lung clan would be exterminated. Lunatic, he's a lunatic. For a moment, the Lung clan members were stunned. Don't try to sow discord. The three of us will attack together. The elder of the Wanxiang auction roared. It's the same for the Wanxiang auction. I'll give up on the Huang family and kill all of you until no one is left. Lin Xian's expression was cold and his body emitted a cold, murderous aura. Did these people really think that he was a pushover? They had tried to kill him time and time again. Now he would let them know the price of trying to kill him. Hearing this, the patriarch of the Huang family trembled in anger. Sow discord, this is blatant sow discord. If this goes on, the Huang family will be finished. In the next moment he did not care about anything else and quickly said, Gentlemen, won't this problem be solved if the three of us attack together? Attack together, we're not afraid of them. I've said it before. If anyone attacks, kill the Lung clan first until they're exterminated. Lin Xian said again. Hearing this, the martial artists from the Lung clan twitched and many of the elders almost vomited blood. What's going on? They were only here to provide assistance. Why are they about to be exterminated? The surrounding martial artists were also shocked. Isn't this too domineering? But I like it. They had never seen someone as domineering as Lin Xian. Now that they saw this scene, they were naturally excited as if they had been injected with chicken blood. Young Master Lin, we were wrong before. We'll go back and prepare gifts to apologize. Now we'll take our leave. After the patriarch of the Lung clan finished speaking, he left with a group of experts without looking back. They left? Just like that? The surrounding martial artists were stunned. The Huang family members were even more stunned. This was a powerful helper. However, he was scared away by just a few words from Lin Xian. Despair rose in the hearts of the martial artists from the Huang family. However, they still had the Vientiane auction. However, in the next moment, Lin Xian's gaze shifted to the Vientiane auction. Instantly, the people who looked at the Vientiane auction were shocked and their faces stiffened. Now that the Lung clan had left, if Lin Xian wanted to deal with them, it would be much easier than before. However, they could not guarantee that the Huang family would go all out if they really attacked. If the Huang family members ran away, they would be in big trouble. The elder of the Vientiane auction twitched slightly. Young Master Lin, you're so capable. I'm impressed. Since this is between you and the Huang family, how can we interfere? Men, let's go. The elder waved his hand and left with the martial artists. He had already thought it through. Once he returned, he would report to his superiors and ask for help. Then, even if the other party came looking for trouble, he would not be afraid. Elder Gua, you can't leave us in the lurch. Seeing that the people from the Vientiane auction had left, the martial artists from the Huang family panicked. The patriarch of the Huang family shouted loudly, but it was to no avail. Now, should we talk about the matter between us? Lin Xian looked down again. Hearing this, the martial artists from the Huang family trembled and their eyes were filled with fear. Talk. How could they talk? They could not defeat Lin Xian nor could they run away. They were like lambs waiting to be slaughtered. Moreover, they had chased after Lin Xian more than once. How could he let them go now? Young Master Lin, this is a misunderstanding. This is a misunderstanding. The patriarch of the Huang family squeezed out an ugly smile. Young Master Lin, what compensation do you want? The Huang family will definitely satisfy you. Compensation? Satisfy you? Chapter 909. Lin Xian smirked coldly as he looked down at the Huang family. I heard that the Huang family's great elder obtained a piece of phoenix blood gold a few days ago. Is that true? Hearing this, the Huang family's patriarch quickly turned around and stared at the great elder. The great elder's body trembled and his expression turned ugly. He had indeed obtained a piece of phoenix blood gold and wanted to use it to forge an armor, but he had not done so yet. Listening to Lin Xian's words, he seemed to be very interested in the phoenix blood gold. Although he had spent a lot of money to buy it and it was painful to give it away for the family, he endured it. Soon, the Huang family's great elder laughed dryly and said, Young Master Lin, good news. I have indeed obtained a piece of phoenix blood gold. If young Master Lin likes it, you can have it. With that, he took out a piece of blood-red metal. Looking at the metal, Lin Xian smiled. That's right, it is indeed phoenix blood gold. With a grab of his hand, the phoenix blood gold floated towards Lin Xian and was quickly grasped in his hand. As he truly felt the crimson phoenix blood gold, Lin Xian revealed a satisfied smile. He had finally obtained this treasure. Seeing Lin Xian smile, the Huang family's great elder heaved a sigh of relief. Although it was painful, it was worth it for the family. At this time, the Huang family's patriarch asked softly, Since young Master Lin has obtained it, can you let us go? At least let the 200 friends withdraw their pressure first. They were too sullen. The pressure from the 200 venerables in the sky was extremely terrifying, and it was specifically targeted at the Huang family. Until now, everyone was lying on the ground in a sorry state. Even if they did not die today, it would not be long before they became the laughingstock of the entire wind-seeking city. Hearing this, Lin Xian sneered again. What? Does the Huang family's patriarch think that a piece of phoenix blood gold can solve the problem? Or do you think that my life is only worth a piece of phoenix blood gold? This. Seeing Lin Xian's darkened face, the Huang family's patriarch's eyelids twitched. No, of course not. Young Master Lin's body is priceless. How can a piece of phoenix blood gold compare to it? The Huang family patriarch quickly flattered. Very good. You've also admitted that my life is worth more than a piece of phoenix blood scarlet gold. That makes things easier. Lin Xian said. Speaking of which, you've chased after me 3 times, right? Do you really think I'm easy to bully? It's a misunderstanding. The head of the Huang family felt that he had flattered the wrong person. Just as he was about to explain, Lin Xian coldly interrupted him. There's no misunderstanding. Since you've done something, you have to pay the price. You have 2 choices. First, cripple the cultivation of all those above the Exalt realm, and I can spare your lives. 2, you can choose not to cripple your cultivation and fight against my 200 venerables. You can imagine the result. Lin Xian's words reverberated in the air, carrying a murderous aura. Hearing this, the martial artists in the distance were shocked. Sure enough, the other party had brought so many people, and it wasn't just for a piece of phoenix blood crimson gold. When the members of the Huang family heard this, their faces turned ugly. It was as if they had eaten a dead rat. They were too naive. How could a mere piece of metal settle the grudge of being hunted down? However, they couldn't accept the other party's 2 requests. The first request was that if all the venerables were to cripple their cultivation, the Huang family would become a dog without claws and teeth. By then, their enemies would never let them go. Moreover, the Huang family had many resources in Wind-Seeking City. By then, the other 2 families wouldn't let them go. However, if they didn't cripple their cultivation, what awaited them was the destruction of their family. Although the Huang family was one of the 3 major forces in Wind-Seeking City, they couldn't fight back against 200 venerables. The other party could even kill them without much effort. At least, they couldn't even resist the pressure of the 200 venerables. Both choices led to death, but the second choice was to die immediately. If they were lucky, they could still escape from the first choice. The head of the Wang family had an ugly look on his face. His choice was very important, as it concerned whether the family would be destroyed immediately. Moreover, judging from Lin Xian's expression, there was no room for negotiation. He was filled with regret. Why did he provoke the other party in the first place? Now he had brought about the destruction of his family. However, there was no use in regretting. Some things had to be paid for. You only have 5 breaths of time to consider, Lin Xian said coldly. If you don't make a decision after 5 breaths, I'll take it as you've chosen the second choice. 5, 4, 3, 2. I choose the first choice. In the end, the head of the Huang family gritted his teeth and said. After saying this, his entire body collapsed onto the ground as if it had been drained of all energy. Very well, then let's begin. Lin Xian said coldly. Dongfeng. Wait, can I do it myself? Suddenly, the head of the Huang family crawled up and asked quickly. I didn't expect the head of the Huang family to have such a hobby. Alright, you can do it yourself. Hearing that, the head of the Huang family took a deep breath and stood up slowly. His face was ferocious and his eyes were filled with terror as he walked towards the Huang family. Depressing, extremely depressing. The Huang family martial artists trembled and despair filled their eyes. They knew that it was useless even if they risked their lives. Plop. The first to be crippled was the great elder of the Huang family. His dantian suffered a heavy blow as he screamed and collapsed on the ground. Seeing this scene, countless people sucked in a breath of cold air. It seemed that all of this was true. The Huang family martial artists felt their scalps go numb. They did not expect the head of the Huang family to be so decisive without any hesitation. It was as if the one being crippled was not the Huang family martial artist. Terrifying, too terrifying. The disciples of the Huang family would never forget that scene for the rest of their lives. Then the elders screamed and collapsed on the ground. Behind them were the younger generation martial artists. Looking at the younger generation of honorables, the head of the Huang family had a strange look in his eyes. They were the future of the Huang family. In the next moment, his palms trembled slightly. His eyes flashed and he quickly attacked. He had his back facing Lin Xian and the others so no one could see his expression. Bang! The young man of the Huang family fell to the ground and screamed. However, Lin Xian snorted and frowned. The head of the Huang family is really something. Lin Xian snorted. He bent his finger and flicked out a sharp sword wave that instantly pierced through the young man of the Huang family. A bloody hole appeared between the young man's eyebrows. He collapsed powerlessly, his eyes filled with fear and unwillingness. Seeing that, everyone was stunned. The Huang family martial artists roared crazily. Why? We've already crippled our cultivation. Why do you still want to kill him? Crippled his cultivation? What a joke. Do you think he really crippled his cultivation? Lin Xian asked coldly. Chapter 9-10. His eyes were filled with shock. He had indeed done something and did not cripple the young man's cultivation. He had done it very secretly, but he did not expect the other party to see through it. In the next moment, a huge fear rose in his heart. The young man above was definitely more terrifying than he had imagined. Their Huang family was really an idiot to provoke such an opponent. I didn't kill so many of you. Why did I only kill him? You don't understand, but I think Patriarch Huang should understand very well. Don't play tricks in front of me. Otherwise it won't be just one person who dies. Lin Xian said coldly. Hearing that, the Huang family patriarch's body trembled and his forehead was covered in cold sweat. There were so many people in the Huang family, and there were dozens of venerables. Among them, most of them were old monsters and a small number were young people. As for those elders, he had indeed crippled their cultivation. However, those young people were different. He had only sealed their cultivation, and they could be unsealed at any time in the future. Those young people were the hope of the Huang family. As long as they escaped this disaster, they would soon rise again. The method he used was very special. If one did not investigate carefully, they would not have noticed it at all. That was also the reason why he had to do it himself. However, all of his plans were seen through by Lin Xian at a glance. That made him extremely terrified. Hearing Lin Xian's warning, the Huang family patriarch quickly said, Young Master Lin, don't worry. I won't play any tricks again. Not long after, screams sounded in the Huang family mansion. One after another, it made one's scalp tingle. A total of 43 venerables had their cultivation crippled. All 43 of the Huang family's venerables had their cultivation crippled. Lin Xian did not feel any pity. These people deserved it. If it was not for his strength, he would have been killed by these people. Now he only crippled their cultivation. The Huang family mansion was filled with screams. When the Huang family patriarch saw this scene, his body trembled. He knew that the Huang family was finished. In the next moment, Lin Xian flicked out another sword wave and fiercely bombarded the Huang family patriarch's dantian, breaking his spiritual sea. Let's go. Then he waved his hand and left with the 200 venerables. The surrounding martial artists were all shocked. They held their breaths and looked towards the sky. They wanted to know where Lin Xian would go next. From the previous conversation, they knew that Lin Xian was here to take revenge for being hunted down. The Huang clan was not the only one hunting him down. The Lung clan and the Wanxiang auction were also involved. He just didn't know which family Lin Xian was going to attack. The void fluctuated and trembled intensely, as if it couldn't withstand this wave of power. 200 supreme experts rampaged through the air, and a terrifying pressure swept out in all directions. That direction is the Wanxiang auction. Seeing the trajectory of Lin Xian and the others in the sky, the martial artists below were shocked and cried out in surprise. Originally, they thought that Lin Xian would attack the Lung clan, but they did not expect him to attack the Wanxiang auction first. One had to know that the Lung clan's strength was on par with the Huang clan. There was no way they could resist. However, the Wanxiang auction was different. Not only was it an auction house, it also had a powerful force behind it. Their strength was much stronger than the Lung clan and the Huang clan. No one expected Lin Xian to ignore the Lung clan and attack the powerful Wanxiang auction directly. The scene was too spectacular. 200 supreme experts in the sky walked through the air with a terrifying pressure, and the martial artists below followed them like a flood. Soon the crowd arrived near the Wanxiang auction. The people of the Wanxiang auction naturally saw this scene, and their faces instantly turned gloomy. Countless martial artists quickly gathered together and formed a force to fight against the 200 supreme experts in the sky. However, although they were powerful, they could not gather 200 supreme experts in a short period of time. Hence, when the two forces collided, the martial artists of the Wanxiang auction were all sent flying and vomited blood. Seeing this scene, the surrounding martial artists were shocked. Lin Xian was too powerful. Even the powerful Wanxiang auction could not resist him. At this moment, an old man in a red robe flew out from the auction house and shouted coldly, "Thief, don't be so arrogant." Arrogant? Am I arrogant? Why didn't you think I was arrogant when you chased after me several times? Why didn't you think you were arrogant when you snatched the Lone Star Sword from me? Now that you're here, you can't take it anymore and feel aggrieved? Lin Xian sneered. Let me tell you, I'm going to be arrogant today. Lin Xian's voice was cold as it turned into countless sword chi that was extremely sharp and swept across the area. Bang! Even the old man in the red robe was forced back a few steps, his face full of shock. He did not expect Lin Xian's strength to be so terrifying, much stronger than before. In fact, this was normal. Lin Xian had been through many life and death battles these days. These battles could stimulate a martial artist's strength the most. If his strength did not increase, it would be unreasonable. Kid, I admit that you're very powerful and the force you brought is also very powerful. However, compared to our auction, you're nothing. The old man in the red robe held his chest and said coldly, although you can fight your way into the Wanxiang auction today, I want to tell you that we have a terrifying force behind us. You can't fight against it. You're still threatening me. Do you think I'll believe you? Lin Xian sneered as he looked down. Whether you believe it or not, I want to tell you that we're young Master Ling Feng's men. Young Master Ling Feng. Hearing this, the crowd trembled violently. Young Master Ling Feng was one of the 4 young masters of the Jianghu continent. He was a true peerless genius. Regardless of strength, identity, or status, he was superior to everyone else. This kind of person was an existence that countless martial artists looked up to. Although the crowd had guessed countless times that the Wanxiang auction was related to young Master Ling Feng, there was no evidence. This was the first time that the Wanxiang auction had publicly announced that they were young Master Ling Feng's subordinate force. Many people started to worry for Lin Xian. Young Master Ling Feng was a transcendent figure. He was not someone that 200 honorable realm experts could resist. It was probably impossible to touch the Wanxiang auction. Hearing the crowd's discussion, the old man in the red robe laughed maniacally. Kid, did you hear that? If you kneel down and kowtow to apologize now, I might spare your life. Otherwise, if you anger us, you won't be able to bear the consequences. Who was young Master Ling Feng? He was the pinnacle of the younger generation in the continent. Even if it was his subordinate force, he was not someone that anyone could provoke. Therefore, the old man in the red robe believed that as long as he mentioned young Master Ling Feng's name, Lin Xian would definitely kneel down and kowtow in fear. However, in the next moment he was dumbfounded. Because Lin Xian was not as afraid as he had imagined. He even revealed a trace of mockery. Are you done? Lin Xian sneered. Yes, I'm done. How about it, are you afraid now? The old man in the red robe had a sinister expression. If you're done, then die. Chapter 9:11. What? The red-robed elder was stunned. He did not expect Lin Fan to attack so decisively after mentioning Prince Ling Feng's name. Lin Fan did not take Prince Ling Feng seriously at all. The surrounding martial artist's eyelids twitched. This was too shocking. Even Prince Ling Feng was not taken seriously. This Lin Xian was too arrogant. Kid, you are dead meat. Prince Ling Feng will not forgive you for attacking us. The red-robed elder screamed. However, he did not stop and quickly flew to the side. What a joke. How could he resist the attack of 200 honorables? He was not the only one. All the martial artists in the Wanxiang auction fled in all directions like frightened rabbits. With a heaven-shaking strike, the majestic hall was reduced to ashes. The scene was too shocking. Just a moment ago, it was a landmark in Wenfeng City. However, in the blink of an eye, it was reduced to rubble. The red-robed elder's eyelids twitched when he saw this. It seemed like Lin Fan had really attacked. Originally, he thought that Lin Xian would be afraid and at the very least he would stop and retreat. However, he did not expect Lin Fan to attack without saying a word and destroy the Wanxiang auction house. Lin Fan's decisiveness made the red-robed elder's heart beat wildly. In the sky, 200 honorables attacked. They formed rays of light that covered the sky as they charged towards the Wanxiang auction house. The surrounding martial artists were shocked when they saw this. They swallowed their saliva. How was this a battle? This was a one-sided massacre. Humph! Which scoundrel are you? Stop. Just as the Wanxiang auction house was in despair, a cold snort was heard. Then dozens of figures flew over from afar like ghosts. These people had powerful auras. Many of them were third-rank honorables. They had cold expressions as they looked down on everything. However, when they arrived near the Wanxiang auction house, they were still shocked. 200 honorables gathered together. This was not a joke. Lord Lu, you are finally here. The red-robed elder exclaimed in joy when he saw these people. He led the Wanxiang auction house's people and quickly gathered around the men in black. Kid, how dare you attack Prince Ling Feng's men? You are really bold. Lord Lu said coldly. Don't say such useless things. No matter who comes today, the Wanxiang auction will be destroyed. Lin Xian's voice was sonorous, carrying an unquestionable tone. This attitude caused the newly arrived black-clothed martial artist's eyelids to twitch wildly. What an arrogant brat. They had never seen anyone who dared to not give face to young noble Ling Feng. Brat, you've destroyed the Wanxiang auction but you can't kill these people. I'm bringing them back. Do you think I won't kill him just because you said so? Who do you think you are? Why didn't you say anything when I was hunting you down? Lin Xian was also furious. Leave none of these people alive. He was indeed angry. These people were so resolute when they tried to kill him. Now that they couldn't beat him, they wanted to retreat safely? How could there be such a convenient thing in the world? Hearing this, Lord Lu's eyelids twitched wildly. Lunatic, this is a fucking lunatic. In the next moment he saw countless venerables swarming toward them. This was a battle without any suspense. Even if the Wanxiang auction had reinforcements, the outcome could not be changed. Not long after, the people of the Wanxiang auction were all killed. The martial artists that Lord Lu brought were also covered in scars. Let's go. Lord Lu roared angrily and quickly fled with the remaining people, like a stray dog. Brother Xian, should we chase after them and kill them? Wang Li asked from the side. Forget it, we're only dealing with the Wanxiang auction. Let's not touch the others for now. After that, the 200 people cleaned up the battlefield and gathered together again. Lin Xian waved his arm and a sword light flickered at the tip of his finger. The sword chi crisscrossed and carved the words Immortal Martial Auction on the ruins of the Wanxiang auction. Seeing this scene, the crowd's hearts beat wildly. It seemed that the other party did not intend to stop here. Brother Xian, this is... Dongfang Xiong scratched his head and asked. Nothing, the Wanxiang auction is no more, but our auction will be built here. Immortal Martial Auction. Everyone was shocked. Lin Xian actually wanted to build an auction and used the name Immortal Martial Auction. This was thought-provoking. Was it his own idea or the Immortal Martial Academy's? If it was Lin Xian's idea, then it would be easy to handle. But if it was the Immortal Martial Academy's idea, then it would be terrible. Even if the Wanxiang auction was destroyed, they would not be able to regain their face. One had to know that although Prince Ling Feng was strong, it was only limited to the younger generation. The Immortal Martial Academy was the real overlord. Unless Prince Ling Feng used the power of the Palace of War. Hearing that Lin Xian wanted to build an auction, the members of the Dragon Sword Pavilion were also excited. If it was really built, then the benefits to them would be huge. Let's go to the Lung clan. Lin Xian did not waste any time and led the crowd towards the Lung clan. The members of the Lung clan had been waiting for a long time. They knew that the Huang clan was from the Wanxiang auction, and the more they knew, the more afraid they were. Their Lung clan was weaker than the Wanxiang auction, and was only on par with the Huang clan. However, the strongest Wanxiang auction was razed to the ground, and not a single person escaped. This caused their hearts to tremble and they were terrified. Thinking about it, maybe only by using the Huang clan's method could they save their lives. But the difference between them and the Huang clan was that they still had time to save the lives of their clansmen. At this moment, those who were left in the Lung clan were all venerables. Those cultivators below the venerable realm had already been transferred away. They were not here for revenge but for the continuation of their clan. Not only that, there was a mountain of treasures in front of them. They're here. An elder of the Lung clan looked at the sky, his voice trembling. After that, everyone in the Lung clan looked at the sky, only to see countless people flying over like a black cloud. In the next moment, the black cloud stopped, and a handsome figure walked out from the crowd. This figure was naturally Lin Xian. He looked down and squinted his eyes. Are you all ready? Yes, all the venerables of the Lung clan are here. Lin Xian nodded his head. There were only these people left in the Lung clan, which meant that all the cultivators below the venerable realm had left. Lin Xian did not care about this. He flicked his finger and countless rays of sword chi rushed out, like real dragons, and rushed down. The cultivators of the Lung clan did not dare to resist, and could only watch as the sword chi rushed into their dantian, destroying their spiritual seas. After doing this, Lin Xian waved his sleeve, and the mountain of treasures was taken away. Then he led the crowd and left. Looking at the leaving figure, the cultivators in the city had complicated expressions. They did not expect the three major forces of Windy City to be destroyed in a day, and the person who did this was a second-rank venerable realm. It was crazy and shocking. Chapter 9:12. Lin Xian left Wind-Seeking City with 200 honorable realm experts. He didn't return to the Immortal Martial Academy directly but went to Flying Tiger City instead. Flying Tiger City and Green Rock City were originally under the control of the Azure Red Society, but Lin Xian had seized them not long ago. Lin Xian knew that the other party wouldn't give up so easily, and he was here to solve this problem. The gathering of 200 honorable realm experts caused a huge commotion. Countless cultivators in Flying Tiger City looked at this scene in fear and couldn't help but want to kneel down. At this moment, Nangong Shen, Marulong, and the others quickly came out from Flying Tiger City. When they saw the figure above them, they shouted excitedly, "Brother Xian! Brother Ma, Brother Nangong, long time no see. How have you been?" Lin Xian greeted them with a smile. He had sent people to pick them up from the Sand region. They had already stayed in Flying Tiger City for some time. According to Lin Xian's plan, the Sand region was too remote, so it was better to concentrate their forces in the Blood region. Moreover, he also wanted to move the Sand region's battle arena to the Blood region. That was why he brought Nangong Shen and Marulong here. According to Nangong Shen and Marulong's estimates, the people from the Azure Red Society would come over in a few days. In a few days? Alright, I'll stay here for a few days. Lin Xian said indifferently. Then he brought 200 people to stay in Flying Tiger City. The people from the Azure Red Society were furious. 2 of their cities had been snatched away? This was not giving them any face at all. This was a provocation. The Azure Red Society had never encountered such a situation before. However, due to the incident at the Wanxiang auction, they didn't take action immediately. Instead, they waited until now. Soon, the Azure Red Society sent out an elite team led by 5 third-rank Honorable Realm experts, 22nd-rank Honorable Realm experts, and countless members. A group of people set off towards Flying Tiger City. They were determined to take back the city. This team was already very terrifying. In their opinion, it was as easy as flipping their hand to kill the other party. The Red Flower Emissary was the leader of this operation. At the same time, he was also a third-rank Honorable Realm expert. He was furious that someone dared to rob the Flying Tiger City. At the same time, he sneered in his heart. This time, he would definitely kill the other party and let everyone know that the Azure Red Society was not to be trifled with. After a long journey, Safflower Emissary and the others finally arrived at Flying Tiger City. Looking at the city below, Safflower Emissary sneered. Then he circulated his spirit chi and shouted. "Who is it? How dare you go against our Azure Red Gang? Come out now and accept your death." This voice contained the might of a rank 3 honorable realm cultivator, and it was extremely mighty as it charged downwards. He sneered in his heart. The strongest cultivator in Flying Tiger City was only a second-stage venerated martial artist. A third-stage venerated martial artist would definitely be an overlord here. He was afraid that this shout would scare the other party to death. Hearing this terrifying sound, the martial artists in the city trembled, but their expressions were extremely strange. There was even a hint of sympathy in his expression. They personally saw 200 supreme experts descend a few days ago. That scene was terrifying, something they would never forget for the rest of their lives. The terrifying voice was like thunder and it rolled out. However, there was actually no change below and no one even came out. Seeing this scene, Safflower Emissary's face darkened. He snorted coldly and was about to lead his men to attack. However, at this moment, an indifferent voice drifted over. "You're from the Azure Red Gang? Why are there so few of you here?" This voice was ethereal with a trace of disdain. "So few of you?" Safflower Emissary was stunned. He had brought a total of 50 to 60 people. Among them, there were 5 third-stage venerated martial artists, 20 second-stage venerated martial artists, and the rest were first-stage venerated martial artists and spirit-detecting martial artists. This kind of strength was absolutely terrifying. Taking down Flying Tiger City was not a problem at all. In fact, Safflower Emissary even felt that he could easily take down Flying Tiger City as long as he sent a single third-stage venerated martial artist. The reason why they had sent so many people this time was to show the outside world the strength of their Azure Red Gang. They would not allow others to provoke them. However, at this moment they were actually being called weak. How could they tolerate this? "You're courting death. Third brother, go down and kill everyone," Safflower Emissary said coldly. Soon a skinny middle-aged man walked out. He also exuded the aura of a third-stage venerated martial artist. It was extremely fierce. The middle-aged man sneered and quickly charged down. Safflower Emissary and the rest waited with cold smiles. In their opinion, it would only take a few breaths of time to finish off the people below. Bang! Suddenly a low sound was heard. Then a black figure flew out like a ball. Everywhere it passed, blood splattered. It was extremely dazzling. "Third brother? How is this possible?" The people from the Azure Red Gang were stunned. Safflower Emissary even screamed. He did not expect that the injured person who flew back was actually one of their people. However, how was this possible? Third brother was a third-stage venerated martial artist. He was extremely powerful. Even martial artists of the same level could not injure him in an instant. Who exactly was that person below? He was actually so terrifying. Could it be a fourth-stage venerated martial artist? Safflower Emissary was shocked and doubtful. However, he quickly rejected this thought. If it was really a fourth-stage venerated martial artist, he would probably be able to finish them off with just his aura. Safflower Emissary's face was gloomy. He said in a low voice, "Everyone listen up. Charge with me." He was indeed furious. His people had been injured in front of so many people. This was undoubtedly a disgrace to the Azure Red Gang. This time they were here to regain their dignity. Hence, without any hesitation, Safflower Emissary led a group of martial artists and charged down. Buzz! The void was mercilessly torn apart. A terrifying aura spread out. The martial artists below trembled and fled. Third brother, who had been injured, followed them. However, his face was extremely ugly. This was because he had not seen the other party clearly when he went down just now. He had been thrown out by a huge force. It was too humiliating. As a third-stage venerated martial artist, he had never encountered such a situation. Hence, this time he followed the group down. He had to take revenge. Comparing numbers? Do you think you can compete? The disdainful voice was heard again. Then a terrifying aura surged out like a volcanic eruption. It suddenly rushed out and turned into a huge wave that rushed towards the people from the Azure Red Gang. Bang! The two forces collided and the sound was deafening. The entire void was drowned. Violent currents surged and blew the surrounding buildings away. In the next moment, Safflower Emissary and the rest of the people from the Azure Red Gang were shocked. They felt that the surging aura was a primordial demon mountain. It was too terrifying. It directly hit them. They could not resist the powerful force at all. Boom! In the next moment, All the martial artists from the Azure Red Gang vomited blood and were sent flying. What? This is impossible. Safflower Emissary flew back a few hundred feet before he could stabilize himself. He was shocked. He was crazy. He was really going crazy. He had brought so many people with him. It was enough to crush everything. However, he was mercilessly sent flying back. In the face of such a powerful force, they could not resist at all. Chapter 9:13. Red Flower Emissary and the others were terrified because they'd never seen such a thing before. Who exactly are they? They're so terrifying. At this moment, countless cultivators from the Azure Red Society racked their brains, but they couldn't figure it out. However, in the next moment they screamed as their bodies stiffened, and they almost fell from the sky. People, they were all people. There was a black mass in front of them, and every single one of them had an extremely powerful aura. All of them had reached the Venerable Realm. So many Venerable Realm cultivators were like a demonic cloud that suppressed the sky. The terrifying aura condensed together, and it was like a primeval demonic mountain that couldn't be reached. Venerable Realm cultivators. 200 Venerable Realm cultivators. Red Flower Emissary and the others had good eyesight, and they instantly saw the number of enemies. However, their hearts trembled violently right after that. 200 Venerable Realm cultivators, and most of them were second-level Venerable Realm cultivators. What kind of force was this? They didn't hesitate to say that it would be extremely easy for these people to kill them. Even though they had 5 third-level Venerable Realm cultivators, how many could a third-level Venerable Realm cultivator resist? 10 people? 20 people? 30 people? There were 200 people on the other side. They could probably crush them to death with their numbers alone. Unless a 4th-level Venerable Realm cultivator came, they had no chance of winning. You're from the Azure Red Society? Lin Xian stepped into the air and looked coldly at them. What? It's you? Red Flower Emissary's pupils constricted, and he was shocked. He looked at the young man before him with great shock in his heart. He'd seen this young man before. Even 2 months ago he'd captured him in Soaring Tiger City. However, he'd let that young man escape at that time. At that time he didn't take it seriously at all. After all, that young man was just a kid who'd just entered the Venerable Realm. However, he'd appeared again now, and he'd brought 200 Venerable Realm cultivators with him. He couldn't believe it. Lin Xian naturally recognized them as well, but he didn't say anything and just asked indifferently, "Oh, may I know why you're here?" "No, it's nothing. We're just passing by. We've really offended you this time, so we'll leave immediately." Red Flower Emissary's attitude was extremely humble, and he didn't put on any airs at all. After he finished speaking, he waved his hand and left with those people without looking back. Originally, they came to conquer the Flying Tiger City, but they didn't dare to say anything in this situation. If they did, then they would be beaten to death in a matter of minutes. Looking at the fleeing figures, Lin Xian sneered. 2 months ago he couldn't beat them, but now they could only take a detour when they saw him. They didn't even dare to speak loudly. However, at least the other party was tactful enough to not make a move. Otherwise, the one who would have died would have been the other party. The people he brought along weren't ordinary paragons. They were all geniuses from the Immortal Martial Academy. These people all had the strength to challenge those of a higher level. It was simply too easy for them to deal with the Azure Red Society. Nan Gongseng and Ma Rulong burst into laughter. With Lin Xian's protection, they would be able to develop rapidly in Flying Tiger City and Green Rock City. The leader of the Azure Red Society, Lu Qing, was a 4th-rank Venerable Realm cultivator. With such strength he could be considered an overlord. When he heard the message that Safflower Emissary brought back, his face instantly darkened. 200 Venerable Realm cultivators were definitely a powerful force. Even he would have to expend a lot of energy. Moreover, to be able to take out so many Venerables, the power behind them must be extraordinary. He didn't need to take the risk and fight with them. It was just 2 cities. At most he would give them up. After all, the Blood Realm was so big. If he wanted a city, he would have plenty of opportunities. Therefore he ordered everyone not to stir up trouble. Hearing this order, Safflower Emissary heaved a sigh of relief. To be honest, he really didn't want to go to Flying Tiger City. Damn it, it was too terrifying. After staying for a few more days, Lin Xian realized that the people from the Azure Red Society didn't come again. He knew that this matter was resolved. After leaving some resources and spirit stones, Lin Xian prepared to leave with his people. These 2 cities would become one of his bases. Ma Rulong and Nan Gongseng would develop them. Usually, the disciples of the Immortal Martial Academy would come to help to ensure the safety of the city. Lin Xian wasn't worried about leaving the city matters to Nan Gongseng and the rest. Besides, he didn't have the energy to manage these matters. He only needed to control the general direction. After arranging everything, Lin Xian brought his people back to the Immortal Martial Academy. On the way, the members of the Dragon Sword Pavilion were very excited because Lin Xian's strength was too shocking. First, he used powerful methods to eliminate the 3 major powers in Wind-Seeking City. Then he scared away the people from the Azure Red Society. This kind of power was something that only a few people in the younger generation could achieve. Moreover, after a few days of hard work, Flying Tiger City and Azure Rock City had completely become their territory. Not only that, an immortal martial auction house would be built in Wind-Seeking City. These were all powerful resources. The members of the Dragon Sword Pavilion were very excited because they could use these resources. After returning to the Immortal Martial Academy, the crowd dispersed. Lin Xian also flew towards his courtyard. However, he was stunned when he entered the courtyard because he noticed that there was actually a figure standing in the courtyard. Lin Xian frowned. His courtyard was protected by a formation. However, at this moment, there was someone who could break through his formation. He couldn't help but be surprised. Before Lin Xian could open his mouth to ask, the figure had already turned around and stared at Lin Xian coldly. It was a handsome young man. His brows were sharp and his eyes were sharp. His figure was tall and straight and there was a sharp aura around him. "You are Lin Xian?" the young man asked indifferently. "I am Lin Xian. Who are you?" "It's not good to barge into the courtyard. I'm here to tell you to stay away from Murong Qingqing. I don't need you to care about what I do, right?" Hearing the other party's domineering tone, Lin Xian's face darkened. "It's not a matter of whether I care or not. It's because you are not worthy of her," the handsome young man said arrogantly. "I don't need you to worry about whether I'm worthy or not. If you want to pursue Murong Qingqing, go ahead. There's no need to feel superior to me," Lin Xian said coldly. He yearned for freedom and was disgusted by such a commanding tone. However, the handsome young man wasn't angry at all. Instead, he said indifferently, "You are indeed as arrogant as the rumors say. However, you don't have the qualifications to be arrogant in front of me. You can't even compare to me. What qualifications do you have to pursue Murong Qingqing?" "You. Who are you?" Lin Xian frowned. Up until now, he still didn't know who the other party was. "Li Yunfei. You should have heard of this name before." Li Yunfei. Lin Xian's heart was beating wildly, and a trace of surprise appeared on his face. He had naturally heard of this name before. Not only that, he was very familiar with it. It was just that he had never seen the real person. Chapter 9:14. "Looks like you already know who I am," Li Yunfei said. "You'd better listen to my warning. Otherwise you'll look bad in the future." As soon as he finished speaking, he didn't wait for Lin Xian to react before his figure flashed and instantly vanished from the courtyard like a wisp of smoke. Looking at the disappearing figure, Lin Xian's face darkened. He did not expect the expert ranked second on the Mystic Sovereign leaderboard to warn him. It was a blatant threat. However, Lin Xian was born with a rebellious nature. The more he was not allowed to do something, the more he would do it. Li Yunfei? Second on the Mystic Sovereign leaderboard? One day I'll surpass you. Lin Xian clenched his fists. He was not boasting. He had the confidence to do so. He had the great dragon sword soul and offensive saint technique. As long as he was given time, he could surpass everyone. Then, he rubbed his forehead and looked at the courtyard beside him helplessly. She was indeed a peerless beauty. She really knew how to cause trouble. Previously, there had been pursuers of Murong Qingqing such as Yan Qingyang. However, Lin Xian did not take them to heart. Now, even the expert ranked second on the Mystic Sovereign leaderboard had appeared. It looked like he had underestimated Murong Qingqing's attractiveness. Rubbing his face, Lin Xian did not think about it anymore. Instead, he strode into the room. He raised his hand and formed a restriction. Then he sat down cross-legged. First, he meditated for a while to adjust his body to its peak state. Then, he flipped his palm and a crystal skull appeared in his hand. Its surface was smooth and flowed with a sparkling light. If one were to sense it carefully, they would be able to sense a hidden pressure. Lin Xian used his soul power to probe it a few times. Then he frowned slightly. He realized that the crystal skull seemed to contain a powerful force. However, the energy was very blurry and he could not figure it out. Lin Xian was very curious about the crystal skull. Firstly, it seemed to be related to the Thousand Beast Cauldron. Secondly, according to the dark red divine dragon, the crystal skull could be the head of King Pillfeather. King Pillfeather was a king. If this crystal skull was really the skull of a king, then its value would be too great. Until now, no one had ever heard of anyone obtaining the corpse of a king. Lin Xian took a deep breath. His soul force transformed into a sharp sword and pierced towards the crystal skeleton. However, it was quickly rebounded. The void trembled and a sharp ripple burst out from the crystal skull, cutting the space apart. A deep trench appeared on the floor of Lin Xian's room. The entire room was cut in half. Lin Xian sucked in a breath of cold air as he stared at the crystal skull in his hand in shock. Kid, don't waste your energy. There is a powerful seal within the crystal skeleton. With your current strength, you are still unable to open it, the dark red divine dragon said. Seal? Lin Xian frowned. If there's a seal, does that mean there's really something inside the crystal skeleton? Indeed, it should be energy or inheritance. Energy inheritance. Lin Xian's eyes lit up. What he liked the most now was the inheritance of a king. Just by looking at the blood sword inheritance, he knew how powerful it was. Is there a way to open it? Lin Xian asked. Yes, when you are strong enough, you will be able to open it, the dark red divine dragon said. Fuck, is there a faster way? Lin Xian rolled his eyes. After reaching the martial saint realm, every increase in strength was extremely difficult. It required a huge opportunity. There are other ways. Since you are not strong enough, you can borrow external forces. External forces? You mean other people? Lin Xian frowned. He did not want other people to know about this. You don't need other people. For example, lightning tribulation or something. You just need to be struck by it. The dark red divine dragon nodded. Lightning tribulation? Lin Xian's mouth twitched. Was this something common? He glared at the dark red divine dragon, feeling that it was deliberately teasing him. What method do you have? Hurry up and tell me. The flame mountain you went to last time is not bad, the dark red divine dragon said slowly. According to my speculation, you only went to the periphery. With your current strength, you should be able to go deeper. When the time comes, you just need to attract the flames and break the seal. Alright, then I will try tomorrow. Lin Xian put away the crystal skull. He was very eager, even a little impatient. After all, this was the skull of a king. The things sealed inside were definitely good. The next morning, Lin Xian set off for the Flame Mountain. The terrifying flaming mountain was still very majestic. Before Lin Xian even got close, the towering flames were already rushing towards him. However, Lin Xian was much stronger this time around, so these flames on the periphery did not affect him much. Moreover, he had formed his second martial soul, the Ice Lotus, so it was easier for him to resist the flames. With a thought, a strand of cold air surged in his body, instantly dispelling the scorching heat. Very quickly, Lin Xian arrived at the Flame Mountain. However, he did not stop, but instead flew towards the depths of the Flame Mountain. According to the dark red divine dragon, the place he came last time was only the periphery. This time he wanted to see where the real inner area was. Moreover, Lin Xian asked others. The Flame Mountain was a sacred cultivation ground of the Immortal Martial Academy, and was highly respected by the students. Not only fire attribute cultivators, but other cultivators also liked to cultivate here. This was because the flames here could temper their spiritual energy, making it purer. It could even temper their body and strengthen their blood and qi. This kind of effect was the dream of every cultivator. Lin Xian did not know this before, so he did not enter through the usual entrance. However, it was different this time. He specifically asked for directions, so naturally he would not go the wrong way. Very quickly, Lin Xian arrived at the place where he stopped last time. Originally, he felt that this place was incomparably hot, but now he basically did not feel anything. As he walked further in, the temperature became even higher. Not long after, he saw a stone tablet. The stone tablet was completely red and it was covered with red runes. A scorching heat was emitted from it. On top of it there were a few big red words. Flame Mountain, 2nd level. Looking at the stone tablet, Lin Xian nodded. It seemed like this was the boundary between the 1st and 2nd level. Lin Xian's figure flashed and he entered the 2nd level. As expected, the temperature of the 2nd level was much more terrifying than the 1st level. Even an ordinary 2nd level venerable would not be able to withstand the heat waves. However, Lin Xian did not feel anything. He used the power of ice, and his body was filled with a cold aura, blocking all the heat outside. With a step, his speed became even faster as he rushed towards the 3rd level. At the boundary between the third and second level, there was also a purplish-red stone tablet. However, this stone tablet was much bigger than the previous one. Moreover, there were many cultivators gathered in front of the stone tablet. Chapter 9:15. As for those who were originally surrounding the stone tablet, they all turned around when they heard the sound of something breaking through the air behind them. When they saw Lin Xian, they were obviously stunned for a moment. Then they squeezed out a smile. "So it's junior brother Lin. Brother Lin, I've heard a lot about you." A group of people greeted him with smiles. Although Lin Xian was a new student, his life and death battle with Yan Qingfeng had made him famous in the entire academy. One should know that Lin Xian was only at the second heaven at that time. However, he was able to kill Yan Qingfeng, who was at the third heaven of the honorable realm. This was absolutely shocking. Moreover, Lin Xian's current ranking was not weak. He was ranked 30th on the Mystic Honorable Leaderboard. Such a person would be respected wherever he went. "May I know what everyone is looking at?" Lin Xian greeted them with a smile. Then he asked curiously. This was the boundary stone of the Blazing Mountain. Wherever there was a boundary stone, it meant that one could enter the next level. "I know that. But what do the names on it mean?" Lin Xian asked. He realized that this stone tablet was not only bigger than the previous one, but there was also more information on it. "Oh, the names on it are also a kind of ranking. It's similar to the Mystic Honorable Leaderboard. However, it's not a ranking of one's cultivation. It's a ranking of one's level in the Blazing Mountain." "I see." Lin Xian nodded. Then he looked carefully. In the next moment he saw many familiar names. Although this was a ranking of one's level in the Blazing Mountain, most of them were based on the Mystic Honorable Leaderboard. The first was naturally Dugu Outyin. He had already reached the 8th level. Next was Li Yunfei 7th level. Jihao 6th level. Red Pagoda 6th level. Lu Chang 6th level. Behind each name was a corresponding level in the Blazing Mountain. This kind of ranking was a kind of strength and honor. It was a method used by the Academy to stimulate the disciples of the Celestial Martial Academy. Not only that, Lin Xian also discovered something interesting. There were many unfamiliar names on it, but those names did not appear on the Mystic Honorable Leaderboard. What did this mean? This meant that many powerful people did not make it onto the Mystic Honorable Leaderboard. It was not because they were not strong but because they did not want to. This was a real low-key guy. Although there were great benefits to being listed on the mysterious sovereign leaderboard, such as being able to receive the support of powerful spiritual energy and gaining a great reputation, there were also many disadvantages. Everyone on the list had been studied countless times, including their cultivation techniques, secret manuals, and strength. He was used to waiting before making his move. Most likely, everything had already been figured out by others. Although everyone had their own trump cards and secrets, most of them were still revealed. It should be known that not everyone was willing to reveal this information. At the very least, from these unfamiliar names, it could be seen that many powerful fellows did not want to be listed on the Mystic Sovereign Leaderboard. As expected of the Immortal Martial Academy, there were indeed crouching tigers and hidden dragons. Lin Xian took in a deep breath. He realized that he had underestimated the disciples of the Immortal Martial Academy. He only paid attention to the mystic revered ranking and neglected those low-profile experts. In addition to those unfamiliar names, there were two other names that caught Lin Xian's attention. One of them was naturally Dugu Outyin, who was ranked first. Only he had reached the 8th level of the Blazing Mountain. The other one was Li Yunfei, who was ranked second. Although he did not reach the 8th floor, he had reached the 7th floor. He was second only to Dugu Outyin and had left everyone else in the dust. Lin Xian paid extra attention to these two people. However, the reason was different. He paid attention to Dugu Outyin because Dugu Outyin had almost become a legend in the academy. As for Li Yunfei, it was because of the warning yesterday. Lin Xian was not someone who would be bullied by others. He would return the warning yesterday. I wonder which level I can reach? Lin Xian was suddenly interested in the Blazing Mountain. If it was before, he would not have much confidence. However, it was different now. He was using the Ice Martial Soul, which could greatly restrain the heat of the flames. He might be able to create a miracle. After waving his hand to the others, Lin Xian's figure flashed and he quickly entered the 3rd level. Soon, the 4th level, the 5th level. Lin Xian flew all the way without stopping. The 4th level required an extremely powerful existence among the 2nd level venerables. The 5th level required the strength of a 3rd level venerables. However, this was not absolute. A second-level venerables with heaven-defying strength like Lin Xian could naturally enter. Feeling the terrifying heat of the 5th level, Lin Xian took a deep breath. He knew that this was not his limit. Therefore he looked deeper into the 6th level. In the Blazing Mountain, other than Dugu Outyan and Li Yunfei, the highest the others had reached was the 6th level. Lin Xian estimated that with his strength he could definitely reach the 6th level. Therefore he quickly set off for the 6th level. Boom. As soon as he entered the 6th level, a terrifying flame quickly surged over. The flame was too terrifying. It carried an extremely terrifying power, as if it could burn everything. Ordinary 3rd level venerables could not resist at all. They would probably be burned to ashes in an instant. As expected of the 6th level, it was extremely powerful. The neighbor exclaimed. At the same time, his hands were not idle. He waved his hand and shot out a wave of ice power. A frost lotus blossomed in his hand, releasing a terrifying power of frost that collided with the oncoming flames. As ice and fire collided, sizzling sounds could be heard in the void. White fog rose and covered the surroundings. Then the two dissipated at the same time, turning into spiritual energy. After dispersing the flame, Lin Xian looked around. This place was extremely terrifying. There were flames jumping everywhere. The sky was fiery red, and the clouds were completely condensed by the flames. The space was like a huge steamer, as if it was evaporating everything. Lin Xian estimated that only extremely powerful 3rd heaven venerables would be able to stay here. For example, Bing Ling Yi Yan, and the other's highest achievement was on the 6th level. Based on this information, Lin Xian knew that the 7th level would be even more terrifying. One had to know that Bing Ling was also an ice-based martial artist. Moreover, she also had the ice bloodline. Even so, she could only stay on the 6th level. One could imagine how terrifying the 7th level would be. However, Lin Xian decided to give it a try. The dark red divine dragon had told him that the flame here was not strong enough to break the seal in the crystal skull. Lin Xian wanted to break the seal in the crystal skull. He wanted to enter the 7th level. That was a seal left behind by a king. Faced with this temptation, he could not resist at all. Moreover, Lin Xian was confident in himself. Besides the ice lotus martial soul, he also had the red lotus armor. He believed that although the 7th level was terrifying, he could still enter it. Lin Xian took a deep breath and rushed forward again. Soon, the boundary stone of the 7th level appeared in his field of vision. Many martial artists were sitting near the boundary stone. Chapter 9:16. These people were strong, but they probably did not have the strength to reach the 7th level. However, they were sitting at the entrance of the 7th level, trying to adapt to the terrifying heat waves on the 7th level as soon as possible so that they could enter the 7th level one day. Lin Xian's arrival naturally attracted the attention of these people. After all, those who could come here were not weaklings. When they saw Lin Xian's face, they were stunned, but they quickly understood. Although Lin Xian's cultivation was only at level 2, his strength was stronger than most level 3 warriors. Therefore it was not surprising that he could come here. Many people were even guessing how far Lin Xian could go. This was because the closer they were to the entrance of the 7th level, the more terrifying the temperature was. Therefore, the positions of these people were different. The one closest to the entrance of the 7th level was a warrior who was sitting 10 meters away. His name was Jianghu. Although he was not on the Dark Honorable leaderboard, the fact that he could sit here was enough to show that his strength was absolutely terrifying. He probably surpassed Bing Ling and the others. The others were sitting 20, 30, 50 meters away. The furthest was 200 meters. These people estimated that with the strength that Lin Xian had displayed, he could at most reach 150 meters. He would not be able to go any further. However, to everyone's surprise, Lin Xian quickly reached 150 meters away. However, he did not stop. Instead, he ran forward at an extremely fast speed. What? How is that possible? Did this guy's strength increase again? Many people were shocked. Lin Xian's actions were beyond their expectations. It was obvious that they had underestimated him. It seems that this freshman is not to be underestimated. Many people were shocked. However, in the next moment, their expressions changed drastically as if they had seen a ghost. Lin Xian was very fast. He crossed 150 meters in an instant. 100 meters, 50 meters, 30 meters. He did not stop. This shocked everyone. Even the top 30 on the Dark Honorable leaderboard would not be able to withstand the heat. In the last 10 meters, Lin Xian did not slow down. Instead, he rushed forward at an even faster speed. What is this guy doing? Even Zhang Zhang's heart was beating wildly. His expression changed drastically. One had to know that 10 meters was his limit. If he went any further, even he wouldn't be able to endure it. However, the other party still wanted to charge forward. He can't be thinking of entering the 7th floor, right? Someone exclaimed. From the looks of it, it's very likely. Is he crazy? Apart from Li Yunfei and Dugu Outyin, no one else can enter the 7th floor. When everyone saw Lin Xian's actions, their hearts beat wildly. The other party actually wanted to enter the 7th floor? Wasn't this courting death? One must know that there were many geniuses within the Immortal Martial Academy, but only 2 of them were able to enter the 7th level. One could very well imagine how terrifying the 7th level was. Although Lin Xian was strong, he wasn't that strong. Therefore, in the eyes of the crowd, Lin Xian's current actions were no different from courting death. He's too young. Does he really think he's invincible just because he defeated Yan Qingfeng? That's right. There are many people who can defeat Yan Qingfeng. However, I'm afraid that those people wouldn't dare to enter the 7th level. I guess it won't be long before he regrets it. Everyone shook their heads. None of them were optimistic about Lin Xian's chances. Lin Xian didn't care about these comments. With a low grunt, the power of frost in his body surged and quickly covered his entire body, forming a blue ice armor. At the same time, his fist was also covered with a thick layer of frost. It was like a blue boxing glove, carrying with it a terrifying power of frost. After that, he punched out, ruthlessly smashing forward. The power of frost. Who would have thought that he actually possessed such a strong power of frost? No wonder he dared to attempt to enter the 7th floor. Seeing this scene, someone exclaimed in shock. Ice and fire countered each other. If a cultivator possessed a strong power of frost, they would naturally be able to restrain fire. These people were watching nervously. They didn't know how strong Lin Xian's power of frost was. It's useless. The flames on the 7th floor are very special. Even if you possess the power of frost, you might not be able to enter. Zhang Jiang shook his head slightly. As far as he knew, Bing Ling also possessed the power of frost. In the end, she also failed to enter the 7th floor. Therefore, in his opinion, Lin Xian was no exception. Just as these people were discussing, Lin Xian's fist had already landed on the intersection between the 7th and 6th floor. Boom. Suddenly, an invisible wave vibrated, and a translucent light screen appeared at the border, containing an extremely terrifying amount of heat. When the light screen appeared, the nearby cultivators were immediately frightened. Their faces turned pale, not to mention entering the 7th floor. Lin Xian naturally felt the terrifying heat. Without any hesitation, he quickly summoned his Ice Lotus Martial Soul. A blue ice lotus bloomed on his fist. It was crystal clear and chilling to the bone. Ice Lotus Martial Soul. Lin Xian shouted angrily. Then, the blue ice lotus bloomed with cold light and hit the light screen in front of him. Suddenly, a scalp-numbing sound rang out. The translucent light screen fluctuated violently. Every wave emitted a terrifying amount of energy. Zhang Jiang and the rest stood up and quickly retreated. Their eyes were filled with shock. This power was too terrifying. They did not dare to take it head-on. However, their eyes were fixed in front of them. Seeing that the light screen did not crack, many people shook their heads. This was just as they had expected. Humph, I knew it. How could he possibly break it open? Yes, although the 30th place on the mysterious sovereign list is powerful, it is not enough here. Does he really think that he is invincible? Many people sneered. Zhang Jiang also shook his head slightly. Indeed, although Lin Xian's power of frost was strong, it was not as strong as Bing Ling's. Even Bing Ling could not enter. How could Lin Xian enter? Seeing that the Ice Lotus Martial Soul had not been able to break the translucent red light screen, Lin Xian was stunned. However, in the next moment, a red aura quickly surged on his left hand and condensed into a fire lotus. The fire lotus also contained a shocking amount of heat. Fire attribute. Seeing this, everyone was shocked. They almost bit their tongues off. It was not that they had never seen a dual attribute martial artist. Some even had 3 attributes. However, this was the first time they had seen a dual attribute martial artist. It was hard for them to imagine how these completely opposite attributes could safely merge into one person's body. In the next moment, under everyone's shocked gazes, Lin Xian merged the lotuses on his 2 palms. Then a half-red and half-blue lotus appeared. An extremely strange power was emitted. Boom. Lin Xian's palms danced and hit the light screen in front of him again. Crack, crack, crack. The sound of glass shattering was heard. A crack appeared on the translucent light screen in front of him and it gradually grew bigger. What? It really broke open. How is this possible? Seeing this, everyone was shocked. They could not believe it. Chapter 9:17. Bang, bang. The terrifying flames were like the waves of the sea, covering the sky and the earth as they surged forward. The flames danced and the ground trembled. The terrifying heat seemed to be burning the entire space. Lin Xian looked at the scene in front of him and was shocked. The horror of the 7th floor was beyond his imagination. Terrifying flames danced all over the place. Not only was there scorching energy, but there was also a strong pressure that made one feel uncomfortable. Other than the red flames, there was also a light blue flame that emitted a hazy light. The flame was even more terrifying. Even though Lin Xian had the ice spirit martial soul, he could not resist it. Furthermore, the terrain of this place was different from what he had imagined. There were huge stone pillars everywhere, and they stood there like a forest. What shocked Lin Xian was that the blue flame could easily burn a 3rd-rank honorable realm to death, but it did not burn the stone pillars. As expected of the 7th level, it was indeed strange. Lin Xian was shocked. At the same time, he used the red lotus armor to cover his body. The 2 powerful defenses allowed him to stay on the 7th floor. At the same time, he understood why only the 2 of them could enter the 7th floor. The flames here were too terrifying. It would be difficult to resist them with just the power of ice. However, what made him happy was that although the flames here were terrifying, they met the requirements to break the seal. Lin Xian was pleasantly surprised. Then, his body swayed and he flew forward like a shadow. Soon he arrived at the stone forest. With a tap of his foot, he landed on a stone pillar like a big bird and sat down cross-legged. Around him, blue flames danced. As he sat down, more and more blue flames appeared, forming clusters of blue flames. They spun rapidly around him, burning the void until it distorted. Lin Xian looked at the blue flames around him and took a deep breath. Then he circulated his spiritual energy and released a surge of power of ice. All of a sudden, the surrounding flames became restless. They danced with a whoosh, bringing with them terrifying flames. How could they allow the power of ice to exist in such a hot place? In the next moment, the blue flames danced wildly and rushed toward Lin Xian. Lin Xian's expression was grave as he was surrounded by the violent energy. However, he did not block it and allowed the flames to jump towards him. Under this heat, the void became distorted. Countless balls of blue flames surged toward Lin Xian, instantly enveloping him. Ping ping ping. A low rumble was heard. This was the result of the blue flames colliding with the red lotus armor. Kid, if you want to use the heat to temper your body, remove the red lotus armor, the dark red divine dragon said through voice transmission. All right. Lin Xian gritted his teeth as a hint of madness appeared in his eyes. In the next moment, he withdrew the phantom of the red lotus armor and used his physical body to resist the blue flames. In an instant he let out a blood-curdling scream. His entire body felt like it was about to split apart, and the pain was incomparable. Those blue flames looked small, only the size of a fist, but they contained a terrifying amount of heat as if they were going to burn him. Lin Xian was so shocked that his small face became distorted. Originally, he was wearing the phantom of the red lotus armor and could not sense the surrounding heat clearly. Now that he had withdrawn the red lotus armor, he could clearly feel the terrifying energy contained in the blue flames. However, since he dared to withdraw the red lotus armor, he was confident that he could resist these flames. Lin Xian gritted his teeth and quickly circulated the longevity incantation to unleash its powerful recovery ability. As long as he did not die, the recovery ability of the longevity incantation would allow Lin Xian to stay here. Streaks of blue flames danced and covered the surface of his body. Many of them even burrowed into his body. Suddenly he felt a tearing pain as if his body was going to be roasted into a mummy. Lin Xian gritted his teeth. His eyes were red as he forcefully endured the pain. This was because he realized that wherever the blue flames burned, the spiritual energy there became more condensed. There was even a strong and comfortable feeling coming from there. Seeing that the blue flames were tempering his body, Lin Xian was overjoyed. It felt as if he had eaten a natural treasure. What a powerful effect. Lin Xian felt the changes in his body and was instantly overjoyed. Although there was a tearing pain, it was nothing compared to the changes in his body. Ha ha, this feels great. Lin Xian looked up to the sky and laughed. His voice shook the surroundings. Then, a wave of frost energy surged from the top of his head and shot towards the sky. Come on, I can take it. Lin Xian roared. This provocation enraged the surrounding flames. Countless flames danced and roared as they charged towards Lin Xian. Lin Xian took out the crystal skull and placed it in front of him, exposing it to the blue flames. Boom! Countless blue flames danced and charged towards the crystal skull. A low collision sound reverberated like muffled thunder. The crystal skull emitted a 5-colored light, forming a light screen that blocked all the flames. What a powerful seal! As expected of the king's skull. Seeing that the crystal skull was actually able to withstand the blue flames, Lin Xian was shocked. However, he then sent out waves of frost energy in all directions, attracting even more flames. I don't believe that I can't blast you away this time. Lin Xian gritted his teeth as a hint of madness appeared in his eyes. This method was crazy. If someone else was here, they would have wet their pants. The blue flames were not only attacking the crystal skull, but also Lin Xian. In other words, at the same time that the crystal skull was being attacked, Lin Xian was also being attacked by the blue flames. This was extremely dangerous. If he was not careful, he could be burned to ashes. Bang, 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 bang. The entire space was being roasted, and there were even cracks in some places. One could imagine how terrifying the blue flames were. However, until now, the blue flames were still unable to blast open the 5-colored light screen formed by the crystal skull. However, it was not completely ineffective. At least, the 5-colored light screen was much dimmer than before. Lin Xian was extremely shocked. He did not expect the seal to be so powerful. However, at the same time he was extremely surprised. With such a powerful seal, there must be something good inside. This made him even more determined to obtain it. The blue flames were very intelligent. Seeing that they could not blast open the 5-colored light screen after such a long time, they were incomparably furious. Countless flames gathered to form a blue spear that emitted flowing light as it ruthlessly pierced towards the crystal skull. The entire spear was sparkling and translucent. It was completely composed of flames and contained a terrifying amount of heat. It was like the spear of a demon god as it rapidly descended. A sound like muffled thunder rang out as the entire stone forest trembled. The 5-colored light screen suddenly bloomed with light, forming a huge force that sent the blue flame spear flying. Whoosh! Whoosh! Chapter 9:18. It was as if the crystal skull had come to life. It emitted an even brighter light, resisting the blue flames around it. Lin Xian was also extremely shocked. He didn't expect the seal of the crystal skull to be so powerful. That blue flame spear just now had threatened his life, but he didn't expect it to be unable to break the seal of the crystal skull. One could imagine how terrifying the seal of a king tier was. However, he had still underestimated the seal left behind by a king tier. For 2 whole days, the blue flames couldn't break that 5-colored light screen. Not only that, but Lin Xian was even more miserable. He had been tormented in the blue flames for 2 whole days. It was a hellish torment. The terrifying flames almost made him faint several times. Fortunately, he gritted his teeth and persevered. Now, his body was charred black like charcoal, making one's scalp tingle. Fortunately, the art of longevity had a terrifying recovery ability. Otherwise, he would probably have become a dried corpse long ago. However, this hellish burning also had a huge effect on him. His body shook, and the old black skin on the surface of his body fell off, revealing new skin. His streamlined muscles were full of power, and his face was crystal clear. Moreover, his skin was more delicate than before. After more than 2 days of hellish tempering, Lin Xian's body had undergone a complete transformation. With his current physique, even if he didn't use any defense, ordinary second-level venerables wouldn't be able to harm him at all. His body strength was comparable to that of venerables who specialized in body tempering. Actually, this was very normal. These blue flames were too terrifying, and they also had a mysterious power. No matter who it was, if they could endure for 2 days, their body would definitely undergo a complete transformation. Of course, apart from Lin Xian, there probably weren't many people who could endure for 2 days here. However, what made his teeth ache was that the seal of the crystal skull still hadn't been broken. Fuck, what kind of seal is this? It's too powerful. Lin Xian's expression was ugly. He had been bombarding it for 2 days, but the crystal skull was still fine. Why don't we go in and try again? The dark red divine dragon said. That's the only way. Lin Xian stood up and looked toward the depths of the 7th level. There were even more stone forests there, and they were spread all over. Moreover, the temperature there was even higher and more terrifying. With a flash, Lin Xian left the place and flew into the distance. The deeper he went, the darker the flames became and the higher the temperature. In the end, even though Lin Xian's body had been tempered for 2 days, he couldn't take it anymore. At this moment the surrounding flames changed from light blue to dark blue, like the sea of stars, incomparably deep. The heat it contained was also terrifying. Every trace of it made one's heart beat wildly, and they didn't dare to be careless. Lin Xian was sure that even a third heaven venerate would be turned into ashes instantly if they came here. Looking around, Lin Xian was shocked. He took out a mid-grade spirit rank artifact from his storage ring, and in just a short moment, the mid-grade spirit rank artifact turned into a pool of molten iron. This is it. Lin Xian didn't dare to go any further because his body couldn't hold on any longer. If he went any further, there was a possibility that he would explode at any moment. Sitting down cross-legged again, Lin Xian took out the crystal skull, and used the previous method to temper his body while bombarding the crystal skull's seal. Just like that, another 2 days passed. The crystal skull's seal still hadn't been broken, but Lin Xian's physique had become stronger again. Now he could adapt to the temperature of the dark blue flames, so he decided to go deeper. His body swayed and Lin Xian carefully moved forward, not daring to go too fast. Soon he found that the blue flames around him faded, and a light purple flame gradually appeared. The temperature of this purple flame was even higher. Just a trace of it was enough to make Lin Xian somewhat unable to withstand it. Okay, this is it. Lin Xian didn't dare to go any further. He sat down cross-legged and took out the crystal skull. As soon as the crystal skull appeared, the surrounding purple flames were affected and quickly gathered, forming a large purple fish that charged at him. This attack was terrifying. Just the energy shockwave was enough to make Lin Xian somewhat unable to withstand it. With a low growl, he quickly used the phantom of the red lotus armor to cover his body. Boom! In the void, a bright red phantom of the red lotus armor appeared and enveloped Lin Xian like a giant mountain. In the next moment, a terrifying heat wave rushed over and collided with the phantom of the red lotus armor, causing a rumbling sound. However, although the phantom of the red lotus armor trembled, it still managed to withstand the attack. Seeing this, Lin Xian heaved a sigh of relief. Fortunately, he had the phantom of the red lotus armor. Otherwise, with his current strength, it would have been too difficult for him to withstand the purple flames. The purple flames were indeed powerful. The large purple fish that formed violently bombarded the five-colored light screen, causing it to fluctuate violently. The light on the screen also quickly dimmed. Lin Xian was overjoyed. At this rate, it would not take long for the five-colored light screen to shatter. At that time, the seal in the crystal skull would be broken as well. As expected, the five-colored light screen trembled violently as it was enveloped by the light purple flames. Its light also became dimmer and dimmer. Finally, after a few more collisions, it could not withstand it anymore and made cracking sounds. The entire five-colored light screen shattered and fell to the ground. It's broken. Seeing the five-colored light screen shatter, Lin Xian exclaimed in surprise. His eyes were filled with ecstasy. Zhao Fu stretched out his hand and condensed a fiery red palm of light that quickly grabbed the crystal skeleton. He then forcefully pulled, bringing the crystal skeleton to his side. Sensing the changes in the crystal skull, Lin Xian was also overjoyed. However, he did not directly examine it. Instead, he put it away. This place was too terrifying. He had to go to a safe place. With a sway of his body, Lin Xian retreated backward. Soon he arrived at the area of dark blue flames. Although the flames here were terrifying, Lin Xian could completely adapt to it. Lin Xian removed the shadow of the red lotus armor and sat on a stone pillar. Then he took out the crystal skull and examined it carefully. There was no one here anyway. He did not have to worry at all. At this moment, the crystal skull had become even more crystal clear due to the absence of the seal. The five-colored light was very dazzling. Taking a deep breath, Lin Xian released his soul power and probed it. However, just as he came into contact with the crystal skull, the five-colored light screen on it suddenly shone brightly and enveloped him. Then Lin Xian felt dizzy as if his soul was being sucked into it. In the next moment, as if time and space were distorted, Lin Xian arrived in a strange space. The scenery around him had changed greatly. The blue flames from before were long gone. Don't worry. This should be the world inside the crystal skull, the dark red dragon said through voice transmission. Hearing this, Lin Xian nodded. Then he looked around cautiously. His surroundings were a little blurry. It was as if the chaos had yet to open. Only the scenery within 100 feet of him was clearly visible. Lin Xian tried to take a step forward. As he walked, the chaotic fog slowly dispersed and became clear. Suddenly there was a splashing sound from below. It sounded like flowing water. Lin Xian's body swayed and flew downward. Chapter 9:19. It was a pitch-black river. The black river below surged like a giant black dragon, roaring endlessly. Lin Xian was shocked. He realized that the river below was extremely familiar. It was the famous Blackwater River. At this moment, the Blackwater River was different from what he had seen before. The surging black river water was mixed with scarlet blood with a strong pungent smell. Not only that, but countless martial artists were fighting fiercely in the sky above the Blackwater River. Terrifying energy spread out in all directions, shocking everyone. Lin Xian realized that those auras were too terrifying. They were not ordinary martial artists at all, but peerless powerhouses at the 8th or 9th heaven of the Venerable Realm. These people were extremely powerful. They could tear apart mountains and rivers and shatter the earth with a raise of their hands. However, these powerhouses suffered a violent impact at this moment. Their bodies split open and blood spurted out as they fell into the Blackwater River. Fallen. That's right, these powerhouses had all fallen. They were like shooting stars dying quickly. Lin Xian felt his scalp go numb. He could not believe it. What kind of opponent could kill all these powerful peerless venerables? He looked up and was shocked. Above the Blackwater River, there was a huge black lotus. It was like a dark cloud that covered the sky. Above the lotus, countless black-clothed venerables descended. Each of them had a powerful aura and was incomparably cold. There was a black lotus mark between their eyebrows. These people were expressionless as they attacked the surrounding peerless venerables crazily. Not only that, there were many of them. Usually, 2 or 3 of them would besiege a peerless venerable. No matter how strong those peerless venerables were, they could not withstand the attacks of 2 or 3 people of the same level. Therefore many of them fell quickly. Black Lotus. Lin Xian's body trembled when he saw the Black Lotus. He was completely dumbfounded. Although he had never seen this scene before, he was very familiar with the appearance of the Black Lotus. The Black Lotus that sealed the spiritual vein in his body was exactly the same. He had almost forgotten about this matter, but he didn't expect to see the incomparably mysterious Black Lotus here, inside the King Crystal Skull. What exactly is this Black Lotus? Lin Xian was shocked and looked again. The battle on the Black River was incredibly intense. Countless 9th Heaven sovereigns fell, and even some half-kings screamed as they died. At this moment a long howl rang out. The sound was so terrifying that it shattered the void. Immediately after, a handsome young man rushed in. He waved his hands and shot out countless pills, which instantly turned into terrifying demonic beasts that rushed in all directions. The scene of the massacre was controlled in an instant. Not only that, the handsome young man took out a black cauldron and bombarded it in all directions. Every strike caused the world to lose its color. King Pillfeather. 10,000 Beast Cauldron. Seeing this, Lin Xian cried out in surprise. Seeing King Pillfeather in the image, Lin Xian was excited. He felt that he would soon find out the reason for King Pillfeather's death. Taking a deep breath, Lin Xian took a closer look. As a king, King Pillplume was extremely powerful. Moreover, he had the 10,000 life cauldron and earth step treasure. His battle prowess was extremely heaven-defying. Every time he attacked, a large number of Black Lotus cultivators would die. He was like a ferocious tiger that had entered a flock of sheep. No one could resist him. The situation was good. Just as the Black Lotus cultivators were about to be slaughtered, the huge Black Lotus in the sky bloomed with a ray of light. Then a finger like a heavenly pillar pressed down. As the finger fell, the mountains and the void shattered. Countless black holes appeared. The peerless venerables in the surroundings were horrified. They were swept by the aftershock of the finger, and their bodies instantly split apart, turning into a bloody mist. Even the venerables who were still alive were no exception. They were turned into ashes by the aftershock of the light. It was too terrifying. This was just the aftershock. The real black finger pressed down on King Pillfeather. King Pillfeather roared and activated the 10,000 Beast Cauldron with all his strength to resist the black finger. In the next moment, the image seemed to freeze. Everything in the world disappeared. Only the pitch-black finger and King Pillfeather's body were left. Blood spurted out. King Pillfeather's body was pierced through, and he fell into the Black River. However, he still used the last of his strength to seal the 10,000 Beast Cauldron. Following King Pillfeather's death, the image gradually blurred and disappeared. Lin Xian, on the other hand, was completely stunned. He hadn't expected King Pillfeather to be killed by a single finger. Thinking of this, his scalp went numb. He couldn't believe it. King Pillfeather was a king. He was a peak existence in the Jianghu continent. Yet he couldn't stop a single finger. It was hard to believe. The dark red dragon also saw this scene. He was silent. His purple-gold eyes flickered. No one knew what he was thinking. You saw it. A faint voice drifted over. Immediately Lin Xian's body stiffened. The hair on his body stood up. He turned around in horror. At the same time he spread out his soul power to search the surroundings. Don't be afraid. I don't have any evil intentions. As soon as the voice fell, the surrounding chaos weapons changed. A young figure appeared in front of Lin Xian. King Pillfeather. Seeing the handsome youth, Lin Xian was stunned and cried out. Don't be afraid. This is just a soul imprint of mine. King Pillfeather said indifferently. Although he had the appearance of a youth, he carried an endless vicissitude. Junior Lin Xian pays his respects to senior. Facing a king, Lin Xian didn't dare to be careless. Even if the other party was just a soul imprint. Only a second heavenly layer? I didn't expect you to be able to break my seal. King Pillfeather revealed a trace of surprise. I didn't expect that the one who broke the seal would be a second heavenly layer venerable. However, since you can come here, it can be considered fate between us. Lin Xian looked at the blurry figure in front of him. He was extremely shocked. He had many questions to ask. Senior, what is that black finger? What kind of existence is that black lotus? You don't have to be so surprised. King Pillfeather smiled bitterly. Although you know that kings are peak existences on this continent, I have to tell you that the world outside this continent is vast and mysterious. It's something you can't imagine. As for kings, they aren't peak existences. There are many people stronger than them. The owner of that black finger should be an existence that surpasses the kings. An existence that surpasses the kings? The world outside this continent? Lin Xian was shocked. He didn't expect to hear such news. King Pillfeather continued, as for what realm the owner of that black finger has reached, I can't say for sure. If you have the chance to reach the king realm in the future, you will know when you go to the outside world. Chapter 920. The mysterious space within the crystal skull was filled with white mist. The surroundings were chaotic, and there was a handsome youth standing proudly in front of him. Although he looked young, his eyes were filled with the vicissitudes of life. He was the famous King Pillfeather. As for Lin Xian, he was standing opposite King Pillfeather. What is their goal in killing the venerables of the martial sky continent? Asked Lin Xian. I don't know the specifics, but I read in an ancient book that the Black Lotus seems to be the symbol of an organization. That organization seems to have existed since the ancient times. I don't know why they exist, but that time, it seems to be for the 10,000 Beast Cauldron and a map. 10,000 Beast Cauldron? Map. Lin Xian was puzzled. The 10,000 Beast Cauldron was easy to understand. After all, it was a complete Earth-tier artifact. As for the map, although he didn't know what it was, it definitely wasn't simple to catch the eye of such a terrifying figure. Just as Lin Xian was puzzled, King Pillfeather said, I don't have much time left. I will transfer the energy sealed here to you. As for how much you can receive, it will depend on your luck. As his voice fell, the chaotic fog in the surroundings began to churn, forming thick white pillars of light that surged towards Lin Xian. Boom. In an instant, those white pillars of light enveloped Lin Xian. Eliminate all distracting thoughts and focus on absorbing, said King Pillfeather. Lin Xian's heart shook. He quickly circulated the longevity art, because he found that the white pillars of light were the purest spiritual energy. Under the circulation of the longevity art, the spiritual energy poured into Lin Xian's body and flowed through his spirit meridians, finally surging into his spirit sea. However, what shocked Lin Xian was that there was too much spiritual energy. He couldn't absorb it all. Under normal circumstances, he could absorb it on his own. But right now, he was in a state of being imbued with energy. If he was interrupted, the spiritual energy would disappear, and he wouldn't be able to obtain it. What should I do? Lin Xian quickly thought. He didn't want to waste this precious opportunity. But if all this spiritual energy poured into him, he wouldn't be able to absorb it. He might even explode. Boom. In just a moment, the spiritual energy in his body doubled. He quickly reached the peak of the second layer venerable realm. This kind of growth speed was terrifying. However, the crisis didn't change. Lin Xian's body was filled with spiritual energy. A glass-like vortex formed on the mysterious small sword and sucked away the excess spiritual energy. Immediately, the feeling of being on the verge of exploding disappeared. Lin Xian was overjoyed. Without any worries, he could now focus on breaking through to the third firmament of the martial saint realm. With the support of such a huge amount of pure spiritual energy, there was no doubt that he would enter the third heaven of venerable realm. Soon he broke through. Lin Xian had no doubt that if he wanted to, he could continue to raise his cultivation level. However, he did not do so. After all, these were all external forces. Although they could increase his cultivation quickly, it was more important to have a solid foundation. If he rashly increased his cultivation, he wouldn't be able to control it. If his foundation was unstable, he wouldn't be able to walk far on the martial path. Lin Xian didn't absorb the energy anymore. Instead, he guided it all into the mysterious sword. At the same time, his soul entered the mysterious sword's space. He found that the energy didn't disappear. Instead, it formed a milk-colored ball. At first, the ball was only the size of a fist. Then, it gradually grew to the size of a basketball. At this time, the boundless spiritual energy in the space also disappeared. Lin Xian knew that the energy of the King Seal was finished. Lin Xian's body shook. His soul force returned to his body. Then he suddenly opened his eyes. His gaze was as sharp as a sword. He respectfully bowed to King Pillfeather's figure. "Thank you, Senior. This junior can't thank you enough." "Okay." King Pillfeather looked at Lin Xian and nodded. Not bad at all. Although your cultivation is a bit weak, your temperament is hard to come by. In that situation just now, I'm afraid no one could resist the temptation to increase their cultivation. You should know that the energy of my seal is enough for you to reach the 5th or even 6th heavenly layer. But you didn't do that. This shows that you're very clear-headed and understand your own martial path. To be able to resist such a great temptation, your heart of martial path is very firm. It's commendable." King Pillfeather's words were full of praise. Indeed, under such a great opportunity, very few people could remain rational. After all, it was very difficult to increase one's cultivation in the venerable realm. If one missed this opportunity, there might not be another. However, Lin Xian was able to restrain his desire to increase his cultivation. Of course, the energy didn't dissipate. It just entered the mysterious sword in another form. As long as Lin Xian was willing, he could absorb it at any time in the future. "Senior is overpraising me. I'm already very lucky to reach the 3rd heavenly layer. If I increase my cultivation, I'm afraid I won't be able to control it." Indeed, Lin Xian's cultivation had increased very quickly. It was as if he was sitting on a rocket. It was hard to believe. It had only been a short 3 to 4 years since he started cultivating. From a small martial disciple to a 3rd heavenly layer venerable, this kind of speed was unprecedented. However, every time he increased his cultivation, it was through a large number of battles. Could be said that his foundation was very solid. He didn't have to worry about it at all. Therefore, this time he didn't rashly increase his cultivation by a lot. Only with a solid foundation could one walk on the path of martial path for a long time. King Pillfeather nodded slightly, then sighed. "I've already given you the energy of the seal. If you didn't restrain yourself and directly increased your cultivation by several levels, perhaps the next thing would have nothing to do with you. But fortunately you managed to restrain yourself. The next thing?" Hearing this, Lin Xian's heart skipped a beat. Could it be that there was something else other than the energy of the seal? Seeing Lin Xian's puzzled look, King Pillfeather smiled slightly, then said, "The next thing isn't energy but some of my inheritance. Are you willing to accept it?" Inheritance? Lin Xian's head throbbed. His eyes were filled with fanaticism. "My death was very special. Because of time, I didn't have time to leave behind too many martial inheritances. I only left behind a complete alchemy inheritance. Are you willing to accept it?" Alchemy inheritance. Lin Xian was overjoyed. He had learned alchemy from Wine Lord. Back then, Jianghu had also taught him based on his cultivation. Therefore, ever since Wine Lord left, Lin Xian's alchemy progress had been slow. Chapter 921. Of course I'm willing. Senior, you might not know this, but I'm also an alchemist. Oh, that's great. I finally have the whereabouts of my inheritance. But I have one more condition. You must help me fulfill it. Senior, please speak. The Myriad Beast Cauldron is an earth-ranked treasure that I spent my entire life searching for. It's extremely precious, but it's now lost in the outside world. Since you've obtained my inheritance, you're my disciple. That's why you must find the Myriad Beast Cauldron and not let it fall into the hands of an outsider. Lin Xian's expression turned a little strange when he heard this. He scratched his head. Master, the myriad beast cauldron is actually in my hands. In your hands? King Pillfeather was slightly stunned, but then he raised his head and laughed. Good. I really didn't misjudge you. You're not worried, your mind is firm and your fortune is great. If I pass my inheritance to you, there's absolutely no danger of it being lost. King Pillfeather began to pass his inheritance to Lin Xian. The process was very slow and it lasted for about a day. After passing on his inheritance, King Pillfeather's figure dimmed as if he would disappear at any moment. My mission is complete. I'll disappear soon. I have no regrets since I was able to leave behind my inheritance. King Pillfeather's voice carried a trace of loneliness. But speaking of which, I'm still a little unresigned. If you can break through to the King Realm one day, I hope you can go to the outside world and help me find the owner of the Black Finger and kill him. Don't worry, Master. I'll definitely avenge you. Lin Xian's expression was solemn. Yes. Although we haven't been together for long, I believe you can do it. King Pillfeather's figure grew fainter and fainter as if he would really disappear from this world. I obtained this map by chance. It seems to be something that the owner of the Black Finger is looking for. Keep it well and don't let anyone know about it. King Pillfeather's voice became faintly discernible, and his body began to disintegrate into countless streaks of light. An ancient map floated down from his body, and then King Pillfeather turned into a ray of white light and disappeared. Master, rest in peace. Lin Xian looked at the disappearing figure and said in a low voice. Since he had obtained Black Finger's inheritance, he would definitely avenge Black Finger, no matter how powerful Black Finger's master was. Moreover, Black Lotus was inextricably linked to him. He really wanted to know what kind of conspiracy was behind Black Lotus. Why seal him? Of course, he knew that an extremely formidable strength was required to solve all of these problems, and it was at least at the King Realm or above. As King Pillfeather disappeared, an ancient map floated down from the sky. Lin Xian stretched out his palm and grabbed the map in his hands. He then scanned through it quickly. This is... Lin Xian exclaimed and then looked carefully. The map was only the size of a palm and depicted the topography of the mountains and rivers. Clearly this was not a complete map but only a part of it. The reason why Lin Xian was shocked was because he had a similar map in his hands. According to the Dark Red Dragon God, the map contained information about the Heavenly Netherbird. Lin Xian now understood why the Black Lotus organization wanted to snatch this map. The Heavenly Netherbird was a demonic beast on the heaven ranking and was extremely precious. One could imagine how tempting the things it left behind would be. The Dark Red Dragon God flew out and stared at the map with joy. The two maps together are almost half of the map. Kid, I have to say that you're really lucky. All right. Lin Xian shrugged. However, he still did not know where the Heavenly Netherbird was. Wait patiently. With your current strength, you won't be able to take it even if you know. It's better to use this time to cultivate. That's true. Lin Xian nodded and put away the map. With a thought, he left this strange space. It had to be said that he had gained a lot this time. First, he had broken through to the third sky of the Martial Saint Realm. This had allowed Lin Xian's strength to increase exponentially. He believed that if he were to face Blackwater City's City Lord Shaoli now, he wouldn't even need to use the Great Dragon Sword Soul to kill him. Not only had his strength increased, but he had also obtained King Dan Yu's alchemy inheritance. This was an extremely precious thing. With the alchemy inheritance, he believed that his attainments in alchemy would definitely increase by leaps and bounds. When the time came, it would not be a problem for him to refine Tier 7 pills. Li Yunfei, you'd better not let me see you again. Lin Xian snorted coldly as a figure appeared in his mind. Naturally, it was Li Yunfei who was ranked second on the Mystic Sovereign leaderboard. If there was still a big gap between the two of them before, that gap had shrunk infinitely. Previously, Li Yunfei's arrogant attitude had made him unhappy. If he had the chance, he would not mind retaliating. Next, Lin Xian consolidated his cultivation and decided to head deeper into the 7th floor. Previously, he was unable to resist the purple flames. However, now that he had broken through to the third sky of the Martial Saint Realm, he should be able to withstand the heat of the purple flames. Soon Lin Xian arrived at the area of the purple flames. This time he could withstand the heat. As he continued forward, the color of the flames gradually deepened. However, Lin Xian could still withstand it. He arrived at the border of the 7th floor. If he continued forward, he would reach the 8th floor. Taking a deep breath, Lin Xian stood at the border and felt a wave of heat that seemed to be able to burn his soul. How terrifying! Lin Xian sighed softly. It seemed like the 8th floor was not that easy to enter. It made sense. Among the entire Immortal Martial Academy's disciples, only Dugu Outyin had entered the 8th floor. One could imagine how terrifying it was. Let's cultivate on the 7th floor then. Lin Xian did not force it. Instead he sat down cross-legged. Bang bang bang. Suddenly, a series of low and deep sounds could be heard. It was as if metal was colliding low and crisp. This is? Lin Xian was extremely surprised. He realized that the sound came from the 8th floor. The 7th floor was already very terrifying. Only 2 to 3 people in the entire Immortal Martial Academy could enter. However, there was only one person on the 8th floor and that was Dugu Outyin. Could it be that the sound was caused by him? Lin Xian's heart pounded madly. Could it be that he would meet Dugu Outyin here? Suppressing the excitement in his heart, Lin Xian circulated his soul force and looked towards the 8th floor. Although he had not learned any special eye techniques, Lin Xian's soul force was very strong. When he channeled his soul force into his eyes, he could clearly see the scene on the 8th floor. Through the layers of flames, Lin Xian looked towards the 8th floor. He saw countless deep purple flames jumping about on the 8th floor. It was like countless balls of purple mist that filled the entire space. The ground was deep purple in color. There were jagged rocks of strange shapes on the ground. It was the same stone forest. This time he could clearly hear that the metallic sounds came from the depths of the 8th floor. Chapter 922. The figure's back was facing the entrance, so Lin Xian could not see its face clearly. He could only see a golden light flowing around the golden figure and a metallic texture. However, he frowned slightly as he realized that it was not a human body, but a golden feather. Fuck. I didn't expect there to be a golden crow here. Kid, leave quickly. The dark red dragon used some kind of secret technique to see this scene and quickly transmitted its voice to Lin Xian. Lin Xian nodded and withdrew his soul power. Anyone who could enter the 8th floor was definitely a terrifying figure. However, to his surprise, the golden figure was not Dugu Outyin. He withdrew his soul power and transmitted his voice. A golden crow? Could it be a demonic beast inside? He could not be blamed for being shocked. After all, only one person had entered the 8th floor so far. Of course, other than the younger generation, those of the older generation could enter. This shouldn't be the Dugu Outyin you mentioned. This is a golden crow. Although it doesn't have a pure bloodline, it's still a crow with the golden crow's bloodline. A crow. Lin Xian was shocked. He did not expect the golden figure to be a demonic beast. It's not just a demonic beast. It looks like a demonic beast and a great demonic beast. Kid, I advise you not to provoke this kind of person. Lin Xian nodded to himself. This was too shocking. He did not expect there to be a great demonic beast here. Next, he began to cultivate on the 7th floor. However, clanking sounds came from the 8th floor from time to time. Is this guy refining equipment? The dark red dragon was suspicious. It used its secret technique to observe the situation on the 8th floor again and frowned. Fuck. He's really refining equipment. Kid, don't you want to refine the Red Lotus armor? You can refine it here. Do I refine it myself? Don't I need a master blacksmith? Lin Xian was puzzled. You already have the blueprint. Why would you need a master blacksmith? Besides, your soul power is so powerful. The dark red dragon rolled its eyes at him. Are you willing to give the Red Lotus armor to someone else? Lin Xian was stunned. Indeed, he was reluctant to give such a heaven-defying blueprint to others. However, since the dark red divine dragon said that he could refine it, then he should be able to refine it. In fact, refining weapons was similar to refining pills. They were both inscriptions. Lin Xian's soul force was strong, so he could do this. As for the blueprint, he had the complete blueprint in his hands, so as long as he was careful, he should be able to refine it. However, let's wait a little longer. I want to enter the 8th floor to refine, Lin Xian said. He knew that the better the flame required for refining, the better the item refined would be. Therefore, he hoped to endure for a while longer and wait until he could enter the 8th level before he started refining. After making up his mind, he didn't stay any longer and flew out. However, Lin Xian did not know that the news of him entering the 7th level had already shaken the entire flaming mountain. Countless martial artists gathered in front of the boundary steel, looking at the changes in the rankings, exclaiming in amazement. They did not expect that Lin Xian was actually able to charge to the 7th level. One had to know that previously, only 2 people had been able to enter the 7th floor. Who would have thought that Lin Xian would be able to enter as well? This new student is incredible. Yeah, he's too terrifying. While everyone was exclaiming in amazement, Lin Xian had already returned to the Immortal Martial Academy. However, when he returned to the new student area, he realized that the atmosphere was not right. Especially when he saw that Dongfang Xiong and the rest were injured, his face instantly darkened. What happened? Who injured them? Brother Xian? Wang Li stepped forward and quickly told him what had happened. It turned out that a martial artist called Lu Chang had injured them. Lu Chang was an expert ranked 5th on the Mystic Honorable Leaderboard and was also Prince Ling Feng's subordinate. When he found out that Lin Xian had destroyed the Vientiane auction, he wanted to take revenge. However, when he attacked this time, Lin Xian was not around, so he injured Dongfang Xiong and the rest. After Lin Xian heard this, his face darkened and his eyes burned with anger. Lu Chang? Do you really think that you can do whatever you want just because you're ranked 5th? Now that Lin Xian had broken through to the 3rd heaven of the Honorable Realm, his strength had increased greatly. He was not afraid of Lu Chang, who was ranked 5th. Go and collect information on him, Lin Xian said to Wang Li. I'll help you take revenge. Not long after, Wang Li returned. Brother Xian, Lu Chang is in seclusion. He should be preparing for the demon-slaying conference. Demon-slaying conference? Lin Xian narrowed his eyes. All right, we'll deal with him at the demon-slaying conference. The demon-slaying conference was a very special event in the Immortal Martial Academy. It was also a kind of trial for the Academy's disciples. It was said that if one could get a good ranking in the demon-slaying conference, they could be baptized in the demon blood pool. With Lu Chang's status, he probably would not miss the demon-slaying conference. Since the other party dared to injure his companions, they had to pay the price. It was less than a month before the demon-slaying conference began. Lin Xian thought that it would be best to refine the Red Lotus armor before the conference. Although he could only refine one glove now, it was better than nothing. After returning to the courtyard, Lin Xian and the Dark Red Divine Dragon began to think of a solution. With Lin Xian's current strength, it would be difficult for him to enter the 8th level within a month. If he used a special method, he might be able to do it. In the end, the two of them thought of a solution, which was to use the Blood Shadow Doppelganger and the Red Lotus armor to refine the Doppelganger into the 8th level. After discussing the solution, Lin Xian did not delay and headed to the Flaming Mountain again. Soon he arrived at the border between the 7th and 8th level. With a low growl, Lin Xian quickly created a Blood Shadow Doppelganger. Then he used the Red Lotus armor to envelop it. The Doppelganger glanced at Lin Xian and nodded slightly. Then it stepped into the 8th level. As soon as it entered the 8th level, the surrounding purple flames burned fiercely and surged toward the Doppelganger. Lin Xian's Doppelganger trembled. However, with the help of the Red Lotus armor, it managed to hold on. Under the protection of the Red Lotus armor, the Doppelganger walked slowly into the 8th level. Then it found a secluded place and sat down cross-legged. After a while, the Red Lotus armor could no longer withstand the surrounding flames. It dimmed and finally disappeared. The moment the Red Lotus armor disappeared, the Blood Shadow Doppelganger also disappeared. Half an incense stick's worth of time. Lin Xian calculated and realized that his Doppelganger could only last for half an incense stick's worth of time on the 8th level. However, this was enough. As long as he calculated the time well, he could continue refining the armor on the 8th level. Then Lin Xian devoted himself to the refining process. At the same time, the news of him entering the 7th level of the Flaming Mountain spread to the Celestial Martial Arts Academy and caused a commotion among the other martial artists. When Bing Ling, Dongfang Phoenix and the rest heard the news, they were shocked. They did not expect Lin Xian to be able to enter the 7th level. Especially Bing Ling. Her delicate little face was filled with shock. She was also an ice-based martial artist, but she could not enter the 7th level. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.